Hello, welcome back. It is episode 29 of the Geno52 podcast. We are back, we are in the conservatory, and it's sweaty. So all the doors are open.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad, to be fair. It's been sweaty this week, though. But then I've been in a shit classroom all week.
A shit classroom?
Yeah, literally a classroom. No, it's actually a classroom full of bits of broken building, but that's a different story. Anyway, welcome. I'm Tom, and I'm here once again with Stuart.
Hello.
That's a very formal introduction.
Very formal. Yes.
Very formal. Very formal.
very British.
I haven't drunk enough yet, no. Actually, you've been piling through the red wine. What's that, number 3? Since I got here about...
Might be 4, actually.
I
think it's 4.
What's quite scary is I got here about an hour and 10 minutes ago. We've only just started recording.
I do have a box of wine.
You are being classy today and drinking out of the box.
Well, I brought it back from France because it was fucking cheap.
Yeah, it was French red wine is better than the stuff we get in the supermarket.
It was €8, and it's something we can buy over here. It's a £6 bottle over here for €8 for 4 bottles. So I thought, fuck that, that's going in the case.
You really are the premier red wine enthusiast around here.
Well, premier cheap red wine enthusiast. One step above the Lambrini.
Yes, Lambrini is the drink of the gods. As my friends coined the quote, Lambrini girls just want to forget where their friends are.
They should drink something stronger then, shouldn't they? Really, it's not going to work.
No, we used to neck a big bottle of Lambrini in about an hour, from about 9-10 o'clock, neck it, go straight out to the club as students, 2 Jaeger bombs we get in.
Tom, that's like 5%. So what you've just described is necking 2 pints in an hour.
No. It's like a litre. It's like a litre and a half of Lambrini.
So how many mils are in a pint?
The last time you got drunk on Lambrini...
I wouldn't drink that shit.
Exactly, because it's not just the alcohol; it's the sugar and all the shit in it as well.
You're gonna tell me next that is the mix in the drinks, which is
no, it's just Lambrini
bullshit.
Lambrini drink being Lambrini, like you get whiskey drunk, or you get. And I'm going to get so much shit about this.
You are, Tom. It's 5. I think it's 5.5%.
Lambrini drunk is a different kind of thing.
It's like having 2 pints in an hour before you went out. No, that's not getting.
Lambrini drunk is different.
We when I was at uni, Tom, we used to have White Lightning, which was, and we used to make it drinkable by adding.
How many percent is White Lightning? 2.5.
White Lightning cider. It's about.
It's Nat's piss.
It's about 7.5, 8%.
Nat's piss.
And we drink lots of it, not just a couple of drinks before. Anyway.
You're obviously a more classy student than me.
Well, I don't think Lambrini was around when I was at uni.
Well, yeah, it was the dark ages.
It was, yeah. Alka-Pops, what's that?
Was hooch a new thing when you left uni?
It was a new thing when I started, but yeah, it's in the era right there. There's something called Castaway as well, which is just like a wine and fruit shoot mix.
Yeah, no, I've missed Castaway. That's not me.
Mix that with cider. Who just made it Blastaways? So anyone that's ever been to Worcester Uni, in the sort of circa 97 to 2000 era, will know what a Blastaway is. Rest of the country, rest of the world, no.
Fucking idea. Oh, Jesus. You were the alcohol generation, though, weren't you, as students? That was Smirnoff Ice, hooch.
No, I think it was when I left uni and I hit my kind of early 20s.
Was that Smirnoff Ice?
It was the Smirnoff Ice.
That was raving as well.
Moscow Mule, and then it got into the Wicked. Get home and feel like you've got socks on your teeth because there's so much sugar on there. Anyway, should we actually talk about some heresy-related topics?
We haven't been talking about heresy for about nearly an hour and a half. Why start now?
No, we're going to talk about Star Wars and
all kinds of crap. Yeah. Anyway.
That's it. We haven't got any heresy. So I think you should tell us what we got coming up tonight then.
What have we got? As per usual, I need to look at the notes. Well, fucking organised. Yes, right. Tonight we have coming up. We did have planned to do the third part of our alternative army section. I'm going to put the hands up now, and Stu has written fucking loads of notes, and my job was to make a couple of army lists because we're going to be doing alternative armies legions. So I said, I'll make a couple of interesting Legion lists, and I didn't do it. So what we've decided to do rather than...
just put vets. That's not
I just put fucking vets everywhere. Fucking vets. Vets and Porphyrons. Fucking everywhere. We decided rather than half-arse it in, and it's been a good section. I know a lot of people have been enjoying it. We'll delay that for a show. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop in an interview with Jack from Anvils of Konor. He's kind of a big deal, I think. So we had a ramble chat with Jack it was a month or so ago now. It was a little while ago. Jack came down, stayed with you, sank a load of beers. We sat round and we talked green stuff, sculpting, converting, modelling, all kinds of stuff. So You can hear our drunken ramble on that. You can hear me getting on eBay and buying shitloads of equipment because I got overexcited about sculpting. And because it's quite a long chat and it's very, very hobby focused, we talk hobby for about a good hour or so, don't we? A really good chat. We're going to kind of roll our bullshit and bad hobby advice section into that as well and just have one big, massive ramble chat because it's quite a big section, and we've also got quite a lot of talk about in the intro as well. So it's going to be a usual length show, but so we just sort of roll it all into one. So anyway, let's roll into this crap then, Stu. So what have you been up to lately?
What have I been up to? I've been painting some heresy stuff, not mine, but I've been painting some heresy stuff. Work-wise, I've done quite a lot of Mechanicum recently.
That really nice blue Mechanicum.
Yeah, it was not
blue and yellow?
not blue and yellow, not my paint scheme. So the client sent me some pictures of a Mechanicum army they'd seen. So it's not going to be only blue one out there, but it's the only one I'd seen until he sent me pictures.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like it.
I said something like that, and then I came up with it from there. But it was, it's really different. You see a lot of red, don't you? And you see a lot of black and a lot of sort of white-based stuff.
Yeah, white's become more and more common now.
Apart from white, you don't see a lot of sort of cold colours with Mechanicum. But it was really fun to do.
Sam's green Mechanicum's coming out very nice as well.
Yeah, very, very different.
I wonder where he's got. I wonder who.
Well, I might have helped him with that a little bit, but it's
a really, really interesting colour scheme, and it definitely is going to stand out on the table.
Yeah, don't come and ask me for any more alternative Mechanicum.
You really scratch your brains.
I'm out of them now.
You suffered through all the crap of me doing white. You've talked Sam green.
That was Metallica, wasn't it? Wasn't it Metallica?
Yeah.
Stir.
After I painted a unit and then I went and I showed him you and you went, oh, Metallica. And I went, oh, fuck, I thought I'd been original.
What else have I done? So I've done those. I've done some more stuff for Freddie. There's not been any pictures up for that. I'm doing some stuff for Kurt, for Tarsis. So I'm doing a bit more Raver Guard. So there's been quite a bit of heresy at the moment, which is always nice. And I've got some more Death Guard coming up to add to those big commissions I do just after Christmas.
Because he hasn't had enough yet.
No, well, he's
fully
wanted
addicted,
to add a super heavy and a termite or two. So we'll.
He's fully addicted.
So I've got lots of heresy stuff coming up at the moment, which is really cool.
Good.
So June will be a month of painting heresy, even if it's not my own. What have I done? Any own hobby? I've built some Star Wars Legion models. No, I've not. Other than that, I've not done any.
Well, saying that, I've come around and deposited the termite that I bought for you when I placed my order with Forge World and some other bits.
Fine. So I'd already bought two and then decided I needed a third. And I wanted one for my solar as well. So you did an order.
I ordered a Javelin and you went, I've got another one you can have. And I went, all right then. So,
we did a bit of bartering.
We did some bartering. I actually ended up, I paid for it all and you didn't pay me anything.
No, no. There was a few swaps and deals and stuff. And
I thought we got to the end of it, and I was like, "Well, I got to send you about 30 quid, Stu." And you were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You got to send me about 30 quid, haven't you?" Yeah. Let's just not pay each other. I was like, "It's fine. We'll work it out. It's fine." So
there's been purchases, but not really. Yeah, personal heresy hobby. I've been looking at stuff, but other than that, no.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing, isn't it? When you paint 5 or 6 hours a day, most of the days of the week, on other people's stuff, there ain't a lot of time left over for painting your own shit.
No, I've not been doing much at all. I've got my son, my 3-year-old, hooked on Star Wars Rebels, which is amazing. My wife hates it.
He started painting his first models as well.
He did. They were Paw Patrol.
They were painting on it.
Paw Patrol. About 10 people will know that, and they feel sorry for me, and I feel sorry for them too. But
I did see you banging the drum with banging the mantra of 2 thin coats into him repeatedly. He's 3 years old, but he knows what 2 thin coats are.
He knows how to leave it though. He got 3 of these Paw Patrol. They're like little. No, I'm not even going to bother. They're small dogs, shall we say. He painted some of them and went, I'm a bit tired now, I'm going to have a rest. It's like, he's not going to be working for me with that kind of...
Yeah, come on, Daddy needs his 5,000 points of Death Guard base coated by tomorrow.
I want to get to the stage where he wants to paint long enough that I can actually get shit done myself. But we're getting
You've got a couple more years
for
that, I think, before he's got the patience for it.
But at least I get to watch Star Wars Rebels and Return of the Jedi and stuff with him.
Well, you've stopped quoting Paw Patrol at me now when they come around the house.
Yeah, no, we haven't watched Thomas for months, so we're moving on. The world's got a little bit darker. He does have he's got a foam lightsaber thing that he whacks really hard with, so he's getting a little bit violent with it. So I feel like a bad parent.
Is he charging around screaming Darth Vader when he's doing
Darth Vader? Yes, Darth Vader. Don't Google that. Do not Google that. Unless you're Johnny. Johnny will probably Google that.
Johnny probably is already known by the stage name Darth Vader.
But yeah, that's me really. What about yourself?
I did my usual thing. I sat down to do the show notes earlier and went, I haven't done anything this month. And then realised actually I've done quite a bit. So, when did we record? After Warhammer Fest, didn't we? So that was midway through my chaotic May, which was, what did I do? I did Cool Stars, then I did Warhammer Fest, which is where we recorded. I then went down to London GT and did the Mark Mascalan's masterclass. Some people might not be aware who Mark is. Mark is not a wargaming miniatures painter. He paints primarily busts and figures, and he's a real
not breasts. This is
actually
miniature busts.
You go and look at it.
Not small breasts.
He does paint a lot of
models from the bust upwards.
He does paint a lot of boobies. So go and check out Mascalan Miniatures on Instagram. Mark is. He's up there. He's up there with Banshee, and I think he trained with Banshee.
If you're really into your painting, you will know.
Yeah, if
you're kind of dabbling that getting that way, you might not.
This is display competition painting for busts, things like a lot of stuff Andy's been doing recently, away from wargaming miniatures. The busts and the larger scale stuff. So I went and painted with Mark for a couple of days. It was pretty fucking intense. It reminded me of being at art college again.
Okay.
It was very much more based on an art approach. It wasn't, we're learning a process to paint a army quickly. It was, Mark was there going, this is how I do it.
Yeah.
There was I was very glad I'd done the NMM course, because I think if I hadn't have done that, I'd have felt quite, I wouldn't have been able to keep up, because there was a lot of...
So you learned some brush skills and things.
Yeah, there was a lot of
lighting.
There was a lot of expectations. About glazing and blending and brush control and working with these kind of shapes and stuff. There was a lot of expectation that you could do that already. He was helping and refining those skills, but it was very different. It was a very different approach. See, Andy is very much Mr. Smooth.
Yeah,
he does all this texturing.
Yeah,
but the course I did with Andy and NMM was a lot about refining and smooth. Whereas you said to Mark, I was painting the armour, and I said, how smooth do you want it? So he went, how smooth do you want it? Is it a shiny piece of highly polished metal? If it is, it needs to be hugely refined and hugely smooth. Is it a battered piece of battered armour that's taken a lot the owner doesn't care about? You probably don't need to be so smooth. You can have that texture and that, and you don't need to finish the blending so much to give that. So it was much more around that concept I was done, and it was very much what it was. It was a masterclass. It was not a come here and learn this technique, which NMM was, which was come and learn how to do NMM. Which again, even Andy said, it's more advanced brush skills. That was. This was very much. Here's how Mark would approach it, and a different approach. It's very hard. I know how I would describe it in the art world. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to translate it for people who don't. So I used to go off, and when I was doing photography a lot, I'd go off and work with a photographer for a couple of weeks. He wouldn't show me anything I didn't know. He'd just show me how he did that, or he or she did that. And it was learning their approaches, and you took that in. And I'm very different with how I approach my miniatures now. I'm not rougher with stuff. In terms of, I don't try and get the perfect smooth blend now, because it's a 28mm model. You're looking at it from that distance, you can't bloody see it.
You're getting someone else's interpretation of something and their outlook and the way they look at things through their eyes.
And the use of, I went home and I used to have all my paint stacked so I could see all the labels. I don't now. They're all turned around. All I look at is the colour, because I'm not interested in. I need that paint to go with that paint. Very much like the Citadel ranges use that and that and that, which is great. I'm now going, well, I've got this colour, I want it to get to here, so I need to add this in or that in. And I'm going, I want that colour rather than that paint. So it was a really interesting 2 days, really hard work. I found it really tough. It was great, which is exactly what I wanted. If I'd have gone there and not felt like I'd been pushed, I spent a lot of money on that course.
Challenge you, don't you?
I wanted to go and paint with somebody who was going to push me on, and it really has. And it's really inspired me to work, change the way, things like how you attack the brush stroke, what part of the brush you're using, how are you using the brush, to get the best out of your stroke and things like that. And it was really, really interesting and really, really good 2 days. I loved it. The cult paint stuff is the masterclasses with Mark. I don't want to put people off, but I think you need to have a level of painting. You've got to have an interest in painting to display. If you want to learn to paint an army quickly, that ain't the course for you. Go and do tanks and infantry with Henry, because you'll learn that stuff. If you're looking for maybe something a bit more display, Golden Demon, that kind of high-end stuff, that is where it is. But also, it's not a Games Workshop style. It's not a...
no, not at all.
It's an art style.
That's about smoothness. Do you think it will change your army painting? And the reason I ask this is that I've seen this a lot from sort of painters that have done a lot of the sort of heresy themed paint courses, and they seem to be they'll be stuck in a process where they'll do the base layer, and one of the last things they do is gloss, and they put your decals on, and then you gloss again, and then you matte down, and then you weather. But something I notice a lot that you don't see a lot of painters talk about is that how that gloss affects the textures, because they might have power armor, but they've also got skin, and they've also got hair, and they've also got a cape maybe. And I don't do it that way. I will gloss and complete the armor, but then I would do the cape, and I'll do the hair and the face and things different, because the skin and the fabric and the hair have got different textures.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't want that texture to be glossed.
Absolutely.
And yes, you can matte it down again, but then it's taking away the texture you can build. So I just wondered whether that will change the process that you do your armies. Will it change the order that you paint stuff, or is it just more for display piece?
I think it would depend on what I'm trying to achieve. So if I'm trying to knock units out for tabletop, I think I would stick with a lot of the techniques the way I do stuff, because I'm painting it to be looked at from 2 foot away on a gaming table. It's more for me and my pride of having a decently painted army on the table. Yeah. Because I just want my army to look good on the table, because that's what it's there for. So I will take stuff in, especially in terms of things like so one of the things I've always not struggled with, I've relied on my airbrush for putting large areas of colour down smoothly, because I can get a nice smooth finish with the airbrush. I've never been able to get that kind of smooth finish with a brush. Always ends up with a little bit of brush marks. So one of the things Mark shows, how to get a really good finish, a nice smooth finish, long brush strokes to work the smoothness of that basically. So I don't know if people have seen my Instagram, the bust I painted with Mark, it's not particularly great, because it was more about experimenting than actually getting it right. But it's all painted with a brush, and I had nothing bigger than a size 2 on me. Mark was using size 3 a lot, which I wrecked my size 1. I managed to get super glue on it, so I've just ordered a new set from Rosemary & Co. Whereas I normally buy a 0, 2 1s and a 2. I bought a 0, a 1, a 2, and a 3 now. Yeah. And it's things that, so it's just, I won't admit this, I painted some Age of Sigmar earlier. Yeah. And I had that long blade. Yeah. And that's quite a long stroke to get quite a nice finish on. But I did it with all the brush. I didn't even
bigger brush you can hold more paint, which means you're not running out of paint.
And one long brush stroke the entire length of it. And it's not just, the brush stroke. It's right. Hang on, I need to get the movement with my wrist is that way, so I need to spin the model round upside down to get a nice. And however, what's really changed for me is the way I attack things now. How I go, right, I need to achieve this. I'll do that. And the way. There's lots of things I'll take into my army painting, but it might not be in terms of. It'll be more in terms of how I'm confident now that I don't need my airbrush to do this. I can,
subconsciously probably.
Yeah. So there's ways I approach of a consistency of paint and stuff, and what I'm looking to achieve from the layers and blending. Now I'm happy. Just the other day I was just sat there and was like, I need these 2 colours. I'll get the airbrush. I'll get the airbrush and mask it. I can't be fucking arsed. It's only tiny. 2 paints. Paintbrush, got us nicer, smoother blenders. Okay, yes, it wasn't Golden Demon level blending, but it was blended enough for a 28mm model. So the cape I did on my chaplain, there are a couple of areas I've done blue on the outside, red on the inside. There's a couple of areas where the cape folds over where it's sculpted, so the red would be over the blue. And I can't really fucking airbrush that without masking off. So I was like, well, why do I need to? I've got and just get the paint out, and I paint. So those smaller areas I just paint with a hand brush, and it's as smooth as the airbrush stuff. It's all fine, and that's what I've taken in.
Building up that confidence again. Used to. You get to the stage with the hand brush. You get to the stage with the regular brush that you don't think about it, and you get to the level of confidence where it's muscle memory, and you've almost got complete control. You know where that tip's going to go. The only time it goes wrong is when the bristles are wrong, the brush is wrong, etc. It's a bit like
my biggest problem usually is the paint starts running thin on the palette. Running out of paint, I'll just sneak a little bit more out of it, and you've got that kind of claggy, dry stuff.
You just put more down.
And I'm just being lazy.
There's so many variables there.
It's things that Andy was saying all the time on NMO. don't be tight with paint.
No.
If you try and eke out the last few drops of that paint off the palette, yeah, it's going to be claggy because it's been sat there for ages.
Yeah.
Just put more fucking paint down and use it properly. So
you definitely pick it up. You definitely get there with those, especially the brush control.
Yeah.
And it's only once you've got there, the only things that affect it then, like you said, is the claggy paint.
Yeah.
I think the best. I can't think of an analogy. I like my analogies, and I haven't got a sporting one. If you've played, so if you've ever played guitar or something like that, when you first start to learn to play guitar, you are fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And then one day it just
something
clicks.
Yeah.
And you can do those first few chords, and then from that point onwards, it's easy to learn a new chord. You can learn it almost instantly.
Yeah.
But that first learning C, B,
the nightmare.
G,
I never got past that.
You just can't do it. It's horrible. You're in there in your bedroom as a 13-year-old making awful noise. But as soon as you got there, it's really, really easy. It's the same with brush painting.
Yeah.
Those first few models, months, years, depending on how much you work at it, are really awful. But then you get to the stage where you just got this kind of confidence, and it becomes like riding a bike almost. You kind of got this. So you've got this control, this finger movement, and you're there with it. And I think you doing all these courses is definitely.
And that's one of the reasons I'm doing them is this confidence. Because I went down with Carl from Studio Dropship, so we went down together, and we were chatting a couple of days afterwards, and said when I did tanks with Matt, I very much felt like I had tangible things I'd learned. I had learnt to use my airbrush. I had learnt to put decals on. I had learnt sponge tip. There were very definite things I'd learned. I came away from Mark and I was like, I don't feel like I've learnt anything tangible. I've not learnt a technique.
Yeah.
I've not learnt how to do MNMN. I have not learnt how to do. But that's not what the course was there for. The course was there. We did learn lots of things, like how Mark tackles painting faces and stuff. That was really interesting. I've not done anything like that before. And talking about lighting on a face and a method of doing it. So there were some techniques, but I didn't feel like I walked away with a set of techniques. But it wasn't until I sat down and painted afterwards, a day or two later, and just the way I tackled things, I suddenly went, yeah, there's the changes. That's the change. I've changed in this aspect. I've changed in that aspect. And it was very subtle things. The way I hold my brush, the way I tackle the model, all those kind of things, they changed. So it was a fantastic weekend. Now, it was at the London GT. We suffered with similar issues to the London GT in the paint courses. I don't want to go into it. It's been well reported. I did drop down to the Heresy Hall and see Greg. And they were having a really good time down there.
They were all right, weren't they? Greg had some challenges.
Greg had challenges. He dealt with them brilliantly. He ran a really good Heresy event. I popped up and saw Last Minute Marlowe up at the 40k Narrative. They were having a great time. But again, Greg had brought terrain from GW.
Yeah.
I think he specified it as a requirement of doing the Heresy. If I do it, you get me GW's event terrain.
Yeah.
Marlowe and the Greetings boys had brought their own terrain. And I think Matt said as well when he said, I'll do it, but I'm bringing my own terrain. So a lot of those key elements, Greg had issues with space. We had Greg being in the fire industry as well. We had a little conversation about escape routes and things, but that wasn't really the event organisers' faults. That as Greg said, he said they turned up and they put the tables here. Was not the event organisers. Me and Greg also had a sensible chat. We're like, yeah, actually, it's not that bad. It's just a bit. It's not great. They avoided the 40k issues. The issues I think I'll talk about the issues that affected us because that's what it's fair for me to review from there.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it. Me and Carl went and looked in the 40k to GT and the polystyrene was everywhere. But
it's been documented.
I think that's
they had an idea, which was to make something uniform, didn't they?
But
from a competitive gaming point of view.
And I think from your standpoint, Heresy players wouldn't have stood for it, and we were quite clear we wouldn't stand for it.
They had a plan, and it didn't work out.
A lot of 40k players were like, no, it's fine. It's terrain.
I think if it had all been finished and painted, it might not have been such a thing as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Different game system.
And I don't want to talk about it because I wasn't involved in it. But the issues we faced. So me and Carl got down there. We drove down Saturday morning. We got there for 8:30. Doors at 9. Painting course started at 10. We got there at 8:30. We were relatively near the front of the queue. We didn't get up to the painting room, which was, bear in mind, through security, through the passes, up a flight of stairs and a 2-minute walk. It was 40 minutes to get in, and we were at the front. Yeah, we were pretty much one of the first people in. It all started to go wrong when I was stood there with Carl, and I've been doing some event organising. I've been doing some stuff with the London Grand Prix, and I looked at it and went, "There's 2 security guards on. Most of these people have got 3 or 4 bags each. I came down quite light, and I've still got 2 bags. I got a bag of paint. I got a backpack with paints and a bag with lights and stuff in. There's 40k players with 3 or 4 boxes of models. They want to look in everything. And logic just went, well, I ain't getting through first. Bear in mind there were 400 people playing in the GT.
Yeah.
I think Greg had 80. Marlo had 50. There were 20 of us painting. Miles was there with a few people as well. So it was easily 5 or 6. There was probably 600 people to get in. 2 security guards, 600 people, multiple bags, search on all of them. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to go, that wasn't right.
That's similar kind of numbers, isn't it? They go to the open days at
yeah. And every bag, but the open days, people don't bring.
Well, that's what I mean. So if you've queued around the car park, you've queued around the car park to go to open day, and you imagine that they had to search each of you before.
And you've got 4 or 5 bags, and the security, and they're not being derivative. They're normal security guards. They're not used to nerds who've got bags full of toy soldiers. It just totally broke down at the start. I got into there. I'd already figured there'd be an issue with tickets, so I'd preloaded on my phone my receipt for my ticket. I got all that. Walked up to the desk. There is a A4 printed list of all the attendees, 600 attendees' names. You go up and you've got to tell them your name. They have to find you on the list and tick you. You've got 6 people doing that, so it's 100 people each they've got to process.
Okay, it's like voting.
It's like voting, yeah. It totally broke down. And I got there, and the woman goes, "You're not on the list." Well, here's my receipt. I paid. So, quite frankly, as far as I was concerned, I'm going in. I don't give a fuck what your thing is. I paid 180 quid for the frickin' ticket and another tenner for a convention pass. Convention pass turned out to be a badly laminated A5 piece of paper. Fucking terrible. So it was basically a £10 tax on the event. Yeah. So she said, "Oh, speak to the guy at the end." So I go to the guy, laptop, there it is. He went, "Oh, you got an order number?" I said, "Yeah, there it is." Fine. What the fucking point of that? So anyway, we get upstairs, we get into the painting room. There's 14 of us, plus Mark, plus Andy in our course. So there's 16 people in this room. I kid you not, the tables were set out for 11 people in there, and we rearranged the room to make more room in there. So we ended up with 11 of us painting in the room, 3 of them painting in the corridor, because you physically couldn't fit people in there. So the rooms were shit. Andy and Henry didn't know anything about it till they turned up. So bear in mind, there's 15 people in our room. Air conditioning's broke.
Fuck.
Doesn't work. Big door and big window looking out over the stadium. Can't open them. Rolling Stones are setting up for 2 weeks later. Security said, "You're not allowed to open it." I turned around my health and safety brain and said, "Well, it's not safe for us to be in here. Then you need to fix the air conditioning." It says it's hot because it's a big glass fronted window with a glass roof. Yeah. Sun is beating down on it. It's already probably 25 degrees in that room. Bear in mind, we're all going to sit down. We're all going to turn lamps on. We're all going to be in there all day. I said, "It's not safe." I'm saying it's not safe to be in here. We need the room. And everyone else in the painting class is the same. We're all trying to do our best to help. It's fucking sweaty. Now, you bear in mind, in the room next door, there are 5 guys with compressors and all the fumes for the tanks course they were running. They had air conditioning, but no ventilation. Couldn't open a window or a door. You think you paint with all those chemicals? It was silly. And about an hour later, to be fair, the security manager, safety manager for the stadium came up and went, "Yeah, this is done. I'm authorising the doors to be open." And they were like, "Oh, you're not allowed to look out and take pictures of the Rolling Stones?" And we're like, "We literally don't care. We're painting. We paid a lot of money to be here. We don't care." Once the door was open, it was fine.
The Rolling Stones weren't there, were they?
Seriously, it was a building site. It was a rigging site. They were rigging a stage. There was nothing to be seen.
2 weeks before they play, they're not going to be there doing a sound check.
Yeah, I get we can't have you going out there because there's a site security issue. I've done construction, health and safety. You don't want people, unauthorised people working inside. But the guy, when they opened the door, he put a little, you get at the airport, the little barriers, the stretch out tape barrier. Cool, it's fine. It's not like we were a bunch of school children who would likely break the rules. We were all adults painting. We didn't really care. But that was fine. I mean, again, did the event organisers, they couldn't be blamed for the Rolling Stones and the broken air conditioning, but had they picked the best rooms for us? Could they done something better knowing the numbers?
I heard that they
didn't get to. So again, you don't know, but it was just a bit of a disaster. They got 6. Yeah, there was this thing. The food they couldn't. It was an hour's wait for burger and chips on a Saturday for lunch. Bear in mind the events all started late because nobody could get in. Lunch was a rush for a lot of people. You couldn't get food. Now, the venue organisers will have known how many people were coming in. They had said you can bring no food and drink in. So where are the majority of people going to get their food from the venue? They should have catered for that. They should have been ready for that. I will put on the venue that I would have expected them to be able to cope with that. Now, I would have expected a delay. There's only so fast you can serve food when you've got 400 or 500 people coming in. But they just didn't seem prepared. And it was daft things like, I think Andy got his banana taken off him when he tried to come in. He couldn't bring a banana in, but we came in with spray cans and craft knives and stuff. They weren't stopping us bringing food and drink in for a safety reason. They were doing it so that we couldn't bring our own food in and not buy from them. And that's what I think what pissed people off. If there was a legitimate safety reason, you go, okay, but you brought in we literally knives, drills, paints,
aerosol. What were they searching you for then?
I have no idea. But we walked in and everyone's like, oh shit, we got to drill the bus. Everyone's like, oh, no one's going to have any tools, are they? Because I didn't bring my craft knife because I thought, I ain't going to get it in.
There's people with compressors. Yeah. They've got dials on.
Compressors and fucking air. I mean, the stuff we paint
just with. Just stick rubber feet to the bottom of your bomb. You're sorted.
Yeah. Make your fucking ridiculous. But it was the issue when people were like, this is not a security issue. This is a business issue. You are trying to screw us on food and drink. I mean, we were quite lucky because doing the painting course, we were quite relaxed with time. So we stopped and we were like, Mark being Spanish, it was like, we were like, we have half hour for lunch, and Mark's like, what? And we're like, an hour? And Mark's like, you can see, we're like, 2 or 3 hours for lunch. That's normal. So, we walked into, we're lucky we were about a 10-minute walk from Stratford, from the Westfield in Stratford. So we all walked in there and got lunch and stuff from there and stuff. Still paid London prices for shit, but it wasn't stadium prices. So, yeah, I mean, I won't be going back to the London GT anytime soon, mainly because I can go, if I want to go to Greg's Harris event, I'll go to one of the other ones he runs that's better.
Yeah.
If I want to go to Cartel Paint, I'll go to Incom. The reason I went to London GT was because Mark has come over. I would not have gone and done a tanks course or an infantry course. I could have done it in Incom. I went to that course because that's our opportunity to paint with Mark. He's now doing another one in Element, but at the time they weren't sure if he was going to be able to. So I jumped on my opportunity to go. So it's fine. I was happy because I went and did what I wanted to do. But it was a bit of a shit show. And I don't think the event organisers are totally to blame. I don't think the venue are totally to blame. I think there's a failing on both ends. And one of the things I think is maybe did the event organisers communicate clearly enough to the venue what was going to happen? On the Saturday we're getting in. Did they say, look, there's going to be 600 people with a shitload of bags each. If you want to search everything, you need to lay the security staff on. I work with another major venue down in London that's not far from there, the XL, on this event that I've been working on. We've been very clear about what we're coming. And one of the things they've been saying is, what are you doing? What is coming? What is happening? So we can put the right stuff on.
Difficult, isn't it?
I wonder, I don't know, they might well have told them.
I just imagine they just didn't really envisage. Unless you're in the business of running events of that size, you're just not going to know.
But they are. That's what they do at that venue. It's all confidence based.
I'm talking about the event organisers rather than it.
We've learned.
I can imagine that they might have had a conversation or an email or a letter that said, "We'll be checking the bags." And you just go, "Yeah, okay." Yeah. Just thinking they're doing that. We don't have to worry about it. And not really realising
there's 600 people with 3 bags each, and
what that actually meant.
I don't want to blame.
I've been to similar sized events for War Machine. I know the SmogCon events were definitely sort of year 3 and year 4 of SmogCon, year 5 with that sort of size. In hotels, but there was no bag checking. There was none of those kind of issues, and if it was held at a venue that did that kind of stuff, I imagine it would have. And, would the event organisers known about it? I don't know. So I think if they hadn't maybe made such a faux pas with the terrain, which seems to be the most visual thing that people can share and complain about, maybe people would have been a lot more sympathetic about the other things, blaming it on the venue more. Because of the issue with the terrain as well. It kind of brings focus back to how much the organisers.
From my personal view of how I like my hobby, the terrain was unacceptable. I would have walked away from that, but it's the same reason I don't play 40k tournaments.
It's up to the 40k players to decide whether that was acceptable or not, so to speak.
But then you look at the Heresy GT that was at Warhammer Fest a couple of years ago. same thing, shit terrain. It was a couple of pieces of terrain on each table, you know. It's not just, they are not the only people who have ever done that, you know. It's
no, I mean, when we walked around Warhammer Fest, there was definitely a bit more terrain on those tables. That time.
They
obviously there was no heresy there that time, but maybe they learnt from it. But anyway, I won't say too much about them. But
that's fine. That's fine. I would be remiss if we didn't mention the issues at London GT and I glossed over them, and I don't want to dwell on them and bang on about them all the time. So outside of LGT, I got back and I've been working on a few new models. So did we talk about Beastmen Militia last week last time with the word bearers?
We did.
Yeah, so if you were in the group...
the whole closing song was based
around... Yeah, it was based around the whole... Yeah, of course it fucking did. So the Beastman Word Bearers project kind of got shelved at the moment because Titanicus, I was expecting Titanicus later in the year. I was thinking it would be the Calth Prospero box around them, which apparently... looking actually will be that Road Traeger box that we saw.
Yeah. But, that was cool. For model-wise, isn't it?
Yeah, so the Beastmen Word Bearers project was supposed to be keep me going till then. With Titanicus dropping, I think I mentioned this on the show last time. That's got sidetracked now. So I've still got a couple of months to spare, things to do. So I was going to use the Beastmen and Word Bearers for the Jungles of Akar 30k Frontier event as well. So I went back to the drawing board and thought, initially I was like, I'll just use my Ultramarines. I was like, well, I don't really want to go to an event with nothing new, if you know what I mean. And I got the time, so I ordered the Mark II Assault Marines Warhammer Fest, which have only just been fucking dispatched. There's less said about that, the better. You order them 2 weeks before they go last chance to buy, you still have to wait for fucking last chance to buy. Even though they should have been fucking dispatched before they went last chance to buy, because somebody didn't put them on the fucking system.
The joys of ordering them at
I paid 5 weeks ago for a model that should have been here sooner than that. That's my problem. But anyway, that's enough said about that. So they're coming. They're going to be I'm going to do a Lokatara Storm list for a car, basically. Take some breaches, take some vets. I'm actually going to redo my vets. I'm going to do a squad of marksman vets. So I'm going to do... I've got a load of Ultramarine upgrades left over, so I'm going to buy another box of Mark IV plastics and do a proper veteran squad, because my vets at the moment are just...
Rather than running your tax squads as marksman vets that you have been for how many years?
Yeah, I'm going to fucking step up the plate, and if I'm going to use vets, I will make them fucking veterans. So I will do that.
Can you wait and do it? Wait another year and a half, maybe 2. Yeah. Wait and do it, and then they'll get nerfed, and then you won't want to use them.
No, I'm going to make the fucking most of them. I haven't fucking... Anyway, as I said to somebody else the other day, it's not about fucking vets anymore, it's about robots. You think I'm fucking whack with veterans? You wait till you see my robots. Fucking the tally I reaped at Gulf Stars with robots and a fire on. I fucking love them.
We heard.
Yeah, I know. Fucking annoying. Somebody gave me a summary of my Gulf Stars report. It was, I rolled up and played this guy, fucking destroyed him. Rolled up and played this guy, fucking destroyed him. Rolled up and played this guy, fucking destroyed him. But I covered it. I covered it. I love my Mechanicum. I actually think the big problem with Mechanicum is a lot of people don't know how to deal with them. If I play a World Eater, I'm dead, because AP4 chain axes just kill everything. But anyway, that's another story. So I started work, so I decided I was going to do Lokataris. I did debate full Elementaris Terminators, which I'll probably do at some point as well if I get the time, but I decided to go Lokataris. I like them. I think I've mentioned before, so I'm not a massive fan of Terminators. I think they're cool. They don't play on the tabletop the way they are in my head. They're supposed to be like nigh on invincible. One Terminator is like it will take out a squad of Marines. It's like fucking impenetrable and they're impossible to drag down. And they just don't. They never fulfill me on the table the way I feel they should.
I think they can do. I think it depend on... If you run one unit of 5, you're not going to feel that. If you run a lot of them,
the problem
then they're going to feel like that kind of...
I think I've killed too many of them with Legantian axes very quickly.
That's the problem.
I've destroyed Terminators.
Because you've got an alternative.
Yeah, I don't
with
need
a 2-up save aneway.
Yeah. Well, I've got 2-up, 5-up with 2-up, 5. I've got Tartarus armour in combat anyway.
You're comparing them with Artificer armoured cheese.
Suzerain. Fucking love my Suzerain.
That's the problem. You're thinking, Suzerain about it rather than
Terminators, which is why
do
I
act the way they should do.
Which is why I like the Fullementers, because they're not the same as Suzerain. Yeah. Suzerain are a combat unit.
Yeah.
I've said many times, if you want to kill my Suzerain, shoot them. they've only got a 2 up, 6 up invol.
Not always that easy when they come in the crib just right next to you and then jump back here.
Why do you think they come in there?
Shoot them.
But you
they're not on the table, Tom. Shoot them.
drop them with plasma shots. A 5-man plasma squad will fucking reap havoc on them, you know. They're a combat. So
there was a thread in our group, wasn't there, about what's cheesy about Solar behind Aegis lines.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, so what? They can get a 2 up in the first turn.
Yeah.
Just charge them and kill them in combat. Their toughness of humans. That actually means something because they are on the table. Saying just shoot my suzerain doesn't make any sense.
Let them kill something first. Let them devastate your army, and once they've devastated everything within 6 inches of them, then shoot them with what you got left. It's fine. But the Fulham, what I was trying to say is, they're a combat unit. So what I like about the Fulamentaris is they're a shooting unit. So they're a very different stuff. Fucking red wine. You're trying to draw. You were trying to pour red wine wrapped around your mic stand, and you've pissed red wine all over the table.
It's not easy when you're pouring from a bottle.
I'm surprised you're not just drinking from the bottle.
Well, because it's a box. Look, if I was Australian, it'd be hanging off my fucking washing line.
You'd be spinning around outside it. So yes, anyway, what I was trying to say is that I like the Fulamentaris because they're a shooting elite unit, if they make sense. So they would be a very different flavour to the army because they're a big point sink as well with a lot of them. They'd be John Meadows is doing some really, really nice ones at the moment with autocannons. He's gone for the autocannon route and actually 10 autocannons. I think he's only doing 5 at the moment, but he's definitely quite savage actually. Terminators with autocannons that have got tank hunter and -1 to your covers, so even night vision and stuff.
Yeah,
it's pretty tough. Pretty
tough. I think I've just built a massive bunker. But you just one in the unit, and then you got that kind of why are you running it because you want to charge in anyway, but you got that.
Yeah, see, the standard is
to get them all.
See, I was thinking about this. So, like, the standard loadout, like 750 is 10 of them with cyclones and power fists.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, well, if they're starting the back firing cyclones, why bother with the power fist? You don't want them in combat. You want them shoot, and you give them a power maul. At least it's strength 6, AP 4 at initiative. You're going to get a chain of reverse. I was like, well, actually, yeah, maybe. So I'm toying with doing Fulamentaris at the moment, but I'm going to doing the Locataris. So doing that, they're obviously quite a chunk of the points. At 1,500 points, they're quite a chunk. So I want my HQ to roll with them because that's the kind of star unit. So it's like, right, I need a new chaplain. A new Praetor, so it's like cool. And I bought the Red Scorpions command squad, isn't it? The red from they've got the Ocularis Rift or something. They've got the heroes of the Ocularis Rift or something. Cool. They're really beautiful model, and they very much look like Artificer armored Mark IV Artificer armor. You know, they're not pure Mark IV. But they look enough like a modified suit of Mark IV to suit an HQ and a chaplain. So I've stripped a load of the iconography off. I've actually sent the Praetor down to Jacket Anvils of Konor to deal with the chest plate on one because it's got a big eagle. And we had a discussion about does that look too much for a chaplain? He was like, it looks really like a Palatine Aquila. And I was like, he was like, it looks ever chill. I was like, that's cool. So I started trying to shave it off, and he was like, I kept asking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do it? It's just like, send it to me. I will sort it. So I was like, sweet. But I did the chaplain. I stripped a load of the Crux Terminatus off and the Red Scorpions marking and a little bit of the bling. There were a lot of script work and stuff, so I stripped that back. But he's still got a few skulls and things and a skeleton, and he looks ornate and a bit of fluff behind him. I sort of like, there's always a question, chaplains in Heresy, were they really there?
I think ornate works with Ultramarines.
Yeah, and also so I was like, okay, it works, but why is he a chaplain in the Ultramarines? Because there's always this bit of the discussion around armour, all black or Legion colours. So I've gone all black with a blue cape with a red inside, so it's got Legion colour. Yeah, I was like, right, okay, let's have a think because he looks quite 40k chaplain-esque. So I was like, okay. Bit of reasoning behind it then. Let's think about it. So
praise Guillermo's mum.
Fuck's sake. I actually had a serious fucking read. I actually thought about this. So I was like, well, he was one of the first chaplains in the Ultramarines Legion. Guillermo decided to get into the chaplain program because Lorga had brought it in. And after Monarchia, Guillermo was trying to build bridges. So he was like, oh, my brother's come up with this good idea. I'll be good and I'll get behind it. So my chaplain was one of the first in. And he's very zealotry. He's kind of like
Is he a bit keen?
Yeah, he's a bit keen. He's not much of a laugh in the pub.
Is he into health and safety?
Yeah.
Has he got a yellow tabard?
No, he's got a fucking clipboard and a measuring stick and a camera.
I think you're fine.
Got a fuckload of textbooks. So yeah, I gave him a bit of thought, and it kind of made sense. And he's got a very ornate armor, and he's all black because he's kind of gone he's gone balls deep in the chaplaincy program. He's really taken to it.
I'm sure that's a phrase that we.
Balls deep in chaplains. Depends if you're Roman Catholic or not, but that might be the other way around.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, so I've been working on him. Jack's got the Praetor. Jack, I know you're painting for Tars. Let's get my fucking chaplain Praetor back. I want to paint him. So yeah, Praetor's going to come back. Locutarus, I've got to decide how much heresy it will be to cut the torsos off a lot of the Mark II Assault Marines and replace them with upgraded torsos for the Ultramarines. Because you can't get Mark II anymore, is it really a sin to deface them? But I want them, because they're the Locutarus, I want them to look blingy. So I've got a set of Invictarus upgrades.
You've got to do something with them. As much as Mark II's gorgeous.
Well, I've got all the helmets.
You can't.
I've got the helmets. I've got the helmets. They're all going to have the power swords.
Yeah.
So they're all going to have blingy power swords. There'll be a couple of plasmas. So they're going to have that. It's whether I take the top.
Just do the sergeant then.
Well, I don't know, because they're all supposed to be an elite unit.
Yeah.
Should they all be upgraded?
I think
they're supposed to be the best of the best assault marines.
Yeah, but do we get carried away with them?
I'm just saying this is a debate.
I can't give you an exact quote here, but there's how many of the novels where a leading heroic character is described as wearing standard plate and just get, do you know what I mean? Just because they're elite, just because they're elite, does that? Yeah, I wouldn't.
You see a lot of Ultramarines.
I would do it via
very ornate.
I'd do it via the helmets and the shoulder pads and stuff like that.
I've got the winged suzerain.
Yeah, do it with that. Don't mess with the Mark II bodies.
Maybe take.
Otherwise, there's probably no point in you buying Mark II to do it.
Yeah, and that was my other thought. Is if I'm chopping all the Mark II torsos off, am I losing?
How much are they?
Don't ask.
What are they? Your wife's not listening to this, is she?
£74 for 10 Marines.
So you're not going to pay £74 for 10 sets of legs.
By the time I put the upgrades on them, they'll be over a tenner a model.
Yeah, so you're not going to pay that. So I'd keep the bodies. Maybe one torso for the sergeant.
Yeah,
and then go to town on the.
And then I can use all the upgrades on my veterans as well. Then.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're coming along. Locutarus is going to come along. I've got to find a combat shield. I need a combat shield for the sergeant, and I don't really
type.
Just something that will work.
Brilliant.
He's got a power fist and a combat.
That helps, doesn't it?
He's got a power fist and a combat shield, and I don't know. I looked at the Pop Goes the Monkeys round one, and I quite like those, but they've got the bolter popping out, and he hasn't. And these plain ones around, and I don't want to order 10 for £1. Yeah. I've got to have a bit of search on. I might do some bit shopping on some historical sites for like a small Roman. I kind of want that. You know I don't know the proper name. The rounded rectangle Roman legionary shields.
A rounded rectangle.
You know what I mean? It's
I know what you mean.
It's a rectangle.
Round at one end.
No, wrapped round a cylinder.
Okay.
You know, it's a rectangle, but it's wrapped round a cylinder.
I see.
Classic Roman legionary shield.
Not round at the top, but then straight at the bottom, like the old Tomb Kim's ones.
Yeah, like someone's got a rectangle.
Yeah.
And pushed it into a cylinder, pushed it round a cylinder.
There'll be loads of stuff in the historical.
Yeah, I just need to have a fun.
I had, I don't know if I still got it anymore. I had a round shield with a line embossed on the front from a Scribble model.
Yeah.
I came on their Perturabo, fake Perturabo that went on each arm, but it's normal size for a sort of marine. I might have one of those in my bets box. That would be. That would work. I just want something a bit ornate and a bit. Yeah, it's definitely ornate.
But it needs to be a combat shield, not a boarding shield.
It's something you'd see in Gladiator kind of thing. Did he have a line on his shield in Gladiator? Oh no, it's on his helmet.
The line helm.
It's like the line helm, but on a round shield. I'll see if I've still got that, because that would be perfect, I think, for it.
Yeah. So I've been battling away with that, chipping away on that. I've now got the bits of stuff I've got from you. I need to do a jump pack apothecary, so I bought. That's one of the things I had off you, another Mark IV apothecary, because I don't want to buy the full set for one, even though I could probably sold the other apothecary off. You said to me you've got one, so I need to somehow work his surgeon's backpack into a jump pack as well a bit, so there'll be a bit of bashing around and converting with that as well. But yeah, so that's been all good. Tarsus prep has been rolling on. I've finally finished the missions and the books and everything else like that. Just need a proof check on those, and they're going to go off for printing.
It's a lot less hectic this time with half the amount of players, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, lists have come in, lists are in. So the things we've done with lists is everyone's submitted a list. I put the files out in the players group now of the list, and everyone's had a look at them, and there's a 2-week period for people to amend and change if they want.
Their conscience tells them that maybe they should change.
Yeah, or even if they, I don't particularly want people powering.
James Wilson.
Yeah, yeah, but Dawson's Warhounds died more times than I can remember.
People don't understand that, do they? At this stage,
do you know what? A Warhound. After my experience with my Perfiron, I would rather face a Warhound than my Perfiron now, depending on what it's armed with. If someone comes with a double D Warhound, then it's a pain in the ass. But I was I'm in an iron about this. So 3 nights, 6 hull points each. So what's that? 6, 12, 18 hull points between them.
Yeah.
It's twice as many hull points as a Warhound if you take the Void Shields out. They all come with a 4-up armor, 4-up invulnerable save. Warhound doesn't get any save. It's got 2 Void Shields.
Yeah.
With their armor 12.
What's their total points for the 3? Which nights?
3 nights will work out around 750. It will work out maybe a little bit more than 750.
More, isn't it?
3 nights ish, or 2 nights, 3 nights is on the feet. And what you got to remember with the 3 nights is you've got 3 units. Only one can be targeted at a time. So a Warhound, not too worried. I know James has got quad mortars and he's got some Medusa as well. They're a bit.
And some serving trays to drop on.
Yeah, but
some platters.
I don't think it's any worse than.
No, it's not. I'm being a bit flippant with it.
I give James.
He plays that list a lot. At the
we give
club
him. We give him.
Doesn't do very well with it.
We give him it in the ribs all the time. I think Kurt's already called him out because he took the last time James brought his Warhound. Kurt took it down in one turn, so he's like, I'm having that again then. So no, it's all good. Lists are in. Lists look good. I think we've caused some real headaches with.
It's a mix.
Yeah,
I think there's definitely a power level. There's a big difference in power level for some of the lists. People have come with stuff that's kind of Centurion plus a couple of tanks, and there's people that have come with it's a 3K. Let's go with a couple of big things.
Well, the major thing,
but we can balance that with our matchups anyway.
Well, the major thing that stuffed people is the way the event is structured. Is you have to bring a 1,500 point ZM list, and then you have to bring a 3,000 point frontline list. But every single model that is in your ZM list has to be in. The frontline force, so you have somebody in the group mentioned it. It's very Centurion style list because the core of your list is very much a Centurion style Walker Dreads, Skimmers, because that's what goes in ZM. So half of your list has to be ZM appropriate. So half of your list is a Centurion list essentially. So people are having to take maybe more infantry, more stuff like that. So when you get into your 3K list, you're like, well, I've got a core 1,500 points, I can't change. I need to maximise what I can do that. So people are looking at, a lot of people are having to support the list. So there's a lot of people who've brought lists with no rights of war. There's a lot of people who have...
Loads of that, yeah.
Yeah, because they can't fit in, they can't change their army significantly from one to the other.
There's a few lists where people have almost treated it as... That's a list, and then we add on almost. Yeah. It's almost like an allied detachment.
Yeah, another 1,500 points to try.
There are a few. It's like
there's some really interesting.
Isn't one of them? Is it the 3 nights one? That's pretty much that. I can't remember. There's one list.
Ben's 2 nights is essentially.
There's one of them that there is the ZM 1,500.
Yeah. And then a couple of nights.
And then there's the extra 1,500 is just something, 2 big things or 3 big things on the top.
So bear in mind, people have gone, there's 2 big things now. Yeah, but the 1,500 of that is
but you're also playing
all infantry.
You're also playing 3K. What do you want to play? This isn't a Centurion event at all.
But it's caused some interesting headaches in terms of how to build lists and stuff, and it's pushed people. The idea behind it was to push people away from their standard list. Yeah. Oh, I just take
special characters, so you haven't got any Primarch Deskars banging around. So you're gonna get big stuff because it's 3K. People aren't paying 3K Centurion.
Yeah,
that was the last event. We're not doing Centurion.
Yeah, you're chucking in. There are lots of super heavies. Well, of course there are. We've got everything from Glaives and Failblades. We've got Toby's bringing his Ordinatus.
We wanted to see that.
We wanted to. Yeah, this is the point.
That's why we're running 3K games. Otherwise, we're running 2.5.
Yeah. We want to see this big stuff. And the reason we're running 3.5K at the end of the year. Bring your big shit, because people say we never get to take our big shit and lots of stuff. Cool, let's run some events that cater for that, So that's been good. I've been painting some terrain. I always say every Tarsis, I don't need to paint any more terrain. It's all done. And then
tied up some stuff.
I tied up. I bought some more fortifications off Tinterwebs, to supplement a table we already have. We were doing the budgets for Tarsus. We were looking through. Some stuff came in a lot cheaper than we were expecting. We overcosted some stuff with the budgets. We had some spare. So I bought an entire table's worth of terrain from Jody. So the XLC, I've been looking at Desecration City Kickstarter they ran. I really like the stuff. And I've been umming about buying stuff for me. And I thought, I've already got 2 tables worth of terrain myself. Some. Yeah, you bought some. Of course you did. You're more of a hoarder than I am. So I was like, I can't really do it. And we looked at the budget and was like, actually, there's spare in the budget. And I did some sums and was like, I can get the £150 kit from Jody. So I was very lucky. I messaged him after the manager finished and I said, can I get on late? And he said, yeah, there's late. I said, can I be a dickhead and say, if I buy it, I want it for July? And he was like, if you pay me now, I've got a couple of weeks before the Kickstarter money comes in. I will do it now, but you pay me now. And I was like, yes, fine. Send me the invoice, I'll pay you. So I was really lucky. Jody's released us a kit before.
They've done really well. They've supported. There's a few events. With
yeah,
stuff
so Jungles of Akara got stuff.
Vulturus
has got stuff. So he's been really good. Jody and the XLC. I know we talk about the XLC a lot because Jody puts a lot into the community. He supports events. He puts stuff out. He gives stuff to people. He provided us with a table for the last Tarsus. Yeah. You know, he's given us. He sold us a table and. I've got a lot of kit, and I know he's thrown me a few extra bits and pieces into that kit as well to bulk it out as well. So, you know, he's been really good supporter of the community. So
it improves what we have for Tarsus. It means that we've got more stock of Geno tables rather than because half the terrain is Incoms and half of it is stuff.
And what's nice is I've rolled the most tired table of stuff from the events has been rolled off.
Yeah,
the XLC stuff fills that gap. I then can work on that terrain table to improve it so that and then the next event that terrain's available. I can roll the next tired table off, refresh or replace it, and we can work through it. So instead of me having to go, shit, I've got to do it because it's time. I can take my time and refresh and plan the event. So so Jody's kit arrived. I built the entire stuff on a Saturday. It was impressive how stuff goes. It went together beautifully. PVA glue. He didn't actually send me any instructions because he was like, I haven't printed them yet, you can work it out. And I was like, great. And then I put it all together and it literally didn't.
Did you have to peel the backing on those?
No.
Because it's the new style of not doing it.
The only thing I had to peel the backing on was the new plasma building. Because of the way it's printed. So they took the backing off because it burns the edges.
Yeah.
And they like that with the desecration.
The stuff I had with them before, they had all the backing on, which takes you.
But that's what gave it the clean edge on the cut as well.
Yeah.
So he took the backing off when he cut it this time so that it burns ever so slightly on the graphic. So you do get that, and it works nicely with the weather in.
It blends it in nicely.
But the plasma generator is clean because the top of the building is where it's like a glowing plasma coil.
Yeah.
So he wanted a clean finish to that cut. So the backing's still on that. And he did say to me, he said, what you need to do, peel the backing off before you glue it in place. Unlike every review I've seen where they pick at it. Because it's really clever. So he's got a couple of bits. So the way they've cut the MDF allows it to bend into a circle shape.
Yeah.
So it's sort of cut and it's really...
It's almost fanned it.
And it's really fiddly to peel a bit because there's lots of little bits. But it must be so much easier to do. I did it as a whole piece. So I peeled the big bit and then just worked my way down and peeled off all the little bits. As it broke, I just picked another bit and I imagine when I fitted it, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" If you're trying to do that when it fitted
the whole ZM set, so I can't imagine why anyone would stick it together and then try and peel it off. That just seems really stupid. Anyway,
I did make one. I did my usual thing of fucking one thing up. So I got the church building, and you've got like a porch.
You build it on the outside, didn't you? And it's
I looked at it like a porch, like literally it sticks out, kind of like I was thinking about church. Have you ever been, you go into the is it the transept at the side?
You're not sure.
You go in from, so crosses, churches are generally as crosses, and you come in from the side. So it sticks out.
Depends on your church.
I'm talking about the churches around here. Run my way, and you'll go in through like a porch, for want of a better word. The entrance hall sticks out a little bit. So I built it that way, and Jody went, I have interest. Why did you do that? I was like, because that's what I thought. And he was like, never seen anyone do that way. It goes inside. It's supposed to be like a recessed door. And I was like, well, mine's on the outside now then. so he was like, no. What was interesting and what's really nice about the kit, just goes to show, that kit works both way around. And it doesn't look wrong that way because the way Jody's printed it, all the detailing is there. So it's not like because that's when I did make a cock up on one of the hex buildings. The way the hex buildings are printed, the bottom half of the inside, it hasn't got much of a graphic on it, because in theory it's inside the building, you'll never see it. Yeah. I've done 2 of those the wrong way around, but they don't look that bad. They just look a bit... It's only when you look and go, oh yeah, that's not the right way around. But it doesn't look wrong. It's just... And I realised, I was like, oh fuck, it's all glued up.
Don't pay this man to build your stuff, people.
He
clearly has no idea what he's
doing.
doing.
Let me do anything. I'm being completely fucking incompetent, but, you know, I'm happy trying. I get a medal for participation. So yeah, again, a month where I sat down and went, I haven't done fuck all this month, and actually I've done fucking loads. I've been to events, I've built terrain, I've painted shit, I've been everywhere. So yeah, it's been a good fun month. So into the next shit.
Yeah, we've got loads, haven't we? We've been rabbiting on a lot today.
Should we take a quick little break then, because we've rabbited on a bit, and then we'll come back in with the second half of this intro crap? Cool, we'll take a break.
Geno52 is sponsored by Incom Gaming, the new centre for tabletop wargaming in Gloucestershire. Visit incomgaming.co.uk for great savings on pre-orders and all your hobby needs. We stock many gaming systems and hobby accessories and can ship to anywhere in the UK. Incom Gaming is the only UK stockists of the market-leading gaming mats from gamemats.eu. Visit the store and check out how to turn your tabletop into a battlefield. Incom Gaming is based in the centre of Cheltenham and offers tables and scenery for casual and organised play with a fully licensed bar. Check out our events page for upcoming events where everyone is welcome. Save an additional 10% on Games Workshop Heresy products by using the code GENO52 at the checkout. Visit incomgaming.co.uk and help fight the betrayal. Incom Gaming. Come game, shop, drink. To shop elsewhere is heresy.
Welcome back then, guys. We're back. We've had a little executive staff meeting while we've had a little musical intro. We realised we rambled on for a fuckload at the start there, so we don't make this a mega show again. We had a couple of listener messages that we're gonna do next show, just because there's a few bits we want to talk about before we go into our main section.
Yeah, definitely.
So to give the guys who've written into us fair chance for a decent reply, we're gonna move them into the next show. So, first thing we want to talk about really was the last chance to buy stuff. And we don't really want to talk about the last chance to buy. We're more sort of, what me and Stu have been doing, more the community reaction to it. It's been a little bizarre for us as far as we're concerned. You know, the last chance to buy stuff, it's sad, stuff's going off the line. But I think Forge would have been quite clear and quite open. You know, they've said... we haven't got the production space to make it. We haven't got the warehouse space to keep it all. We have to think about it. If we're going to keep producing you new models, stuff's got to go out the other end. You know, we've only got X amount of shelf space. If you want all this new shit, stuff's got to go out the other way. So they've looked at the lines, they've reviewed the lines, and they've pulled some stuff. You know, some silly comments I saw around why didn't they tell us this was happening. We don't know what the fuck's happening. No company in this world releases their business plan out, 6 months in advance to tell you what's coming when and what's going when. And of course, we don't bloody know what's going on. We don't. You know, we all well know. Like the Atropos is a great example. No one knew it existed. Then on one Friday they went, "Here's a night Atropos and with its rules." And everyone went, "What the fuck?" You know, Forge will drop models on us. They will take models away from us at times. They've reviewed the product lines and they've just decided to change stuff.
You get in about a month. I appreciate people are saying, well, that's not enough time to plan paychecks, etc. But what would happen if they told you in 2 months' time we're going to make a large chance to buy announcement or make it? It's
still difficult. Nobody would save their money.
I don't think it mattered what they did. I don't think people would be happy. Yeah. It's sad that some of these lines are going. But if they're not selling, there's no point in keeping them.
And they are lines.
It's some beautiful models. I mean,
Mark II Assault Marines, I've just bought 10 of them. They're fucking beautiful. But who else is running Mark II Assault Marines?
I love Mark II. We spoke about this. Yeah. I love Mark II. I'd have loved an all Mark II army. I can't justify spending that much money on my basic troops.
I couldn't justify an all Mark III or all Mark IV resin army when that was the only way to buy it. That's why I didn't play Heresy until Calth came out, because I couldn't afford to do it. You know, I'd love all Mark II. well, I'm not going to buy it because I can't afford it. I'm not going to buy one model here and there in Mark II as well because it'll look weird in my army. But I'd love it to be there. What I would prefer is for Mark II to come out in plastic, so we could do it that way.
And plastic's the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a fairly safe bet to assume that the rise of the Mark IV and Mark III plastics mean that people just aren't buying the resin standard bodies.
Why would you buy 100 quid's worth of Mark II resin tack marines when you can buy a Calth box for less than 100 quid?
And I know someone out there shouting now, I do. That's what.
Well, why haven't you done it?
Well, they probably have.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there aren't the numbers of people who
sustain it.
Who are doing that to sustain it, and that's just a reality of the
business.
business.
Upgraded torsos and stuff. That's a shame they're going. But I bought 2 sets of Ultramarines ones when I started the Heresy 2 years ago, and I haven't bought any since because I sprinkle them around the army. Why would Forge World keep a line of products? There are people who use them all the time. I know your Death Guard chap uses lots of them, and that probably has been a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But I don't know many people who use.
Freddie uses a lot of them. My Death Guard client uses an awful lot of those things, but I've never used any of them.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that the mix is fairly well swung towards the people just using the plastics. And there's a lot of it's not to use it as an indicator of heresy dying is ridiculous.
Yes.
Elysians aren't part of the heresy market. They were the last plants to buy as well. And there's a lot of that old kind of Imperial Armour Forge World ranges that have gone. And have gone years ago. And I wasn't part of groups of players that played the Badab Wars and played all these other Imperial Armour books, but maybe people complained back then and said, what's going on? Are we going to stop having these campaign books from Forge World? And they've cancelled the Mumok Riders, or the Mumok, what they call those weird sort of...
Oh, God knows, like
desert type... I don't know what they look like. More like something out of Star Wars. And something like that. But they've lots of stuff has gone out of production before. Doesn't mean it won't come back, but if it's not selling...
Tony said that on the Forge World stream. He said... the stuff that's gone off sale, we may well come back to at the moment, but at the moment we're not using it.
What stuck out for me most, I thought there's a certain level of irony, is that as a community we are really good at getting behind and telling the bowls, your spiky bits of this world to go and do one when they say heresy is dead. And there's a joke. We know it's not dead. We know it's not dead, but then you go to the Forge World Facebook group and people are complaining about this stuff and they're acting like heresy's dead, and then you go into the Crusade and Heresy and other groups and people are losing their heads over
it's all going to be finished
and acting like heresy is dead. Well,
we've just told people that it isn't dead.
This is drama for the sake of drama. Yes, it's sad, but let's...
I mean, you look at the Lord of the Rings community. They had genuine reason to believe their game was dead.
Yeah. Well, it was very close to it.
Yeah, nothing happened for years with it.
I don't know this in great detail, but I think they were really, really close to the license not being renewed. And it was.
And now look at them. They've got fucking beautiful models coming out left, right and centre. Forge World is supporting it as a specialist game. Their community's gone from strength to strength. It was a great community before, and it's part
because they recosted and realigned that line. They realised that they couldn't produce it all in plastics because it wasn't making enough money.
So they made it specialist
for GW Main to do. So they made it specialist, and by reducing lines for heresy, it's just that in a microcosm. It's just reducing things that aren't making money, that are taking up store-own space, taking up mold space, and all those other things.
To ensure we still get the good shit.
A more profitable business, which means it's more likely to hang around for
longer. We're going to get more
termites.
We're going to get more Primarchs. Are they going to keep moulding shoulder pads when they want to make all the Primarchs? And they've now talked about releasing their own version of the Demon Primarchs. Do you want moulded shoulder pads, or do you want Forge World's take on Demon Angron and Demon Fulgrim? I know what I fucking want.
Yeah,
I can go to Pop Go the Monkey and get my moulded shoulder pads. I can go to Shapeways or any third-party bit and get my moulded shoulder pads. I want Forge World to do the fucking top-end shit. I want my tanks. I want my Primarchs from them. Let's do that. That's cool. And it's not to say people like Pop Go the Monkey have stolen IP and ruin the business.
Well, they're filling a gap now.
They've just done their bit.
It doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter.
They're not
even
making
more
Primarch.
so, it doesn't matter. They're making stuff that Forge World may not making. But and for me, the final point is the biggest heresy's not dead. We know it's not dead, but the biggest threat to heresy is us being whiny bitches within our own community. Because we are not. That's not a good advert for people that want to start playing the game.
Yeah, we are not going to bring people in if we every week when something goes on the Forge World Tour, everyone goes fucking mental and panics and screams about how the game's dying. If you're a new player coming in, I quite like Heresy. I'm going, oh, fuck me, look at this shitstorm that's here this Friday. Oh, well, maybe I'll go and play something else that isn't a shitstorm. Now, generally, if you get into a lot of communities, there are shitstorms in most communities. But, if we want Heresy to be successful and carry on, we need people coming in, more people coming in and play it. Be the welcoming opening community that I got into a couple of years ago that was really happy and wanted more people to play, rather than a shitstorm community that every time Forge World does something that the community decides they don't like, goes fucking ape shit. It's not a positive place to be. It's not a fun place to be.
We need to be very aware, if we want to attract new players, of how we are perceived by other game systems, and that goes down to how we talk about and how we treat other game systems, and the way we react to them. I've been listening to some Star Wars Legion podcasts recently, and one of the guys on one of them plays other game systems, and he's a store owner in America, and he made a comment. It was a sort of flyaway comment, but he made a comment about 30k and 40k, and he said those communities and how they get on. And he said, but the 30k players hate 40k, and you should hear them go off on one when they talk about 40k. And he said it's quite amusing, really, how kind of stuck in their ways. And that's a perception. I didn't think that was a true reflection of us, but that's a perception that he has.
That's looking from the outside in.
From looking from the outside in. So we need to be aware of that if we want people to still join and it's to grow. Yeah. So stop the whinging and moaning and just keep positive stuff.
Don't be afraid to call bullshit if Forge will do something bullshit, but also remember it's a business. It's not there to keep the three people who decide they're going to use this one shoulder pad supported. They have to make sure the business runs so they can keep producing stuff for us. So, and
these guys are hobbyists that love what they're playing.
Yeah.
We're going to come on to it next, but if you watched or are going to watch the live game on Warhammer TV between Anuj and Michael, if you can't tell that these guys are just Heresy players that love the fucking game, that they're just us, but they've got the cool job of actually making the game and making the decisions.
These guys love the community.
They're not going to do anything to endanger that. They're just trying to make something cool that we all enjoy. So,
but they also
don't
have
lose
to
your
make
head
it
from getting overexcited about decisions that are made.
But they have the thing. They may love the game. They may want everything in the world. But somebody in that company has to make a decision to say, well, but this is how we make the business run. This is how we keep the business working.
Yeah.
And if the business doesn't work and the business doesn't run, we lose everything. So, like I said, I'd rather lose some moulded shoulder pads and have my black books and my special character models. There's always ways around this stuff. I mean, we didn't have moulded shoulder pads and torsos for many years.
No,
we had small upgrade kits for a long time, the odd bit here and the odd bit there, and a lot of people made their own shit. Fine, go for it.
Right, so next thing, I think we've already alluded to it, but if we talk, let's talk a little bit about the Q&A and the game that was on Warhammer TV last night as we record this. Yeah. So I think, I don't know if this was scheduled beforehand, but it seemed like the Forge World team. So Tony Cottrell was on there, and he took Andy Hawes, even though Andy sort of is the manager of Specialist Games. He often talks
He's still
about
quite a passionate Heresy
guy. He said during it, he's written a little bit for Book 8. He's still a big Heresy player, and he's involved in it and knows a lot that's going on in the development of the Heresy system. So they had a little Q&A chat. It felt like they were on there to maybe just sort of say, well, we've just been saying, don't panic.
Don't panic.
We've got new stuff
Heresy
coming out.
Ain't going anywhere.
So there wasn't a lot of new news if you've been at Fest in terms of, I think they said at Fest and we said they said at Fest, Heresy's not dying, stop stressing. But
they went through the Fest slideshow
with a couple of extra. Was there?
We saw a new Blood Angels Praetor, which is
new.
Pretty slick looking, and we saw the cover of Malevolence.
Yeah, and the Ordinators mole. They
actually had a physical model of it rather than the renders.
I think it was a print, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was a physical model as opposed to a render on a screen, which it looks fucking wicked. Amazing.
So I looked at that. I was really excited. It felt like we've got lots to come. Loads of cool stuff, nothing to worry about at all.
And the game is still being handled by people who are passionate about keeping it going. And Andy was, I'd like to do Talon, I'd like to do Mars. I think if he could, he'd like to do fucking everything. You know, what we actually get at the other end is, you know, will depend on the business and depend on what they do. But, you know, the passion is there to do all these things. You know, they want to keep exploring. You know, they know this universe has got shitloads more life in it. It just becomes, you know, a case of what they can achieve and how long they can do it for. But yeah, it was a good Q&A that then rolled into a game with Anuj and Michael, which was a great game.
It was awesome, really cool.
When I've watched games on there before, it's felt very much like this is a game that's been put on for TV. Anuj and Michael's game felt very much like watching somebody down the club throw dice, because they played it the way Heresy plays. You know, they got stuff wrong, they went back, they did stuff, they were gentlemanly to each other, they reminded each other of rules, they pointed things out to each other, they played it in a friendly and laid back way. You know, It was great fun to watch. They said, well, the Primarchs are going to fight. So they made the Primarchs fight. They didn't, you know, there might have been better things to do. And I think Michael had a bit more of a shooty army and Anuj had Terminators stomp across the board. Should have just kept moving back and shooting at the Terminators. But now the Primarchs are going to fight. So we're going to fight the Primarchs, which is exactly what Heresy players do. Let's just fucking fight. That's what we want to do. So, you know, it was really good fun to watch. It was really nice to have Anuj and Michael mic'd up as well. It made the game a lot more interesting.
That made a huge difference. I've tried to watch a few games on Warhammer TV before, and I tend to like the interviews and things, but they didn't. The games I've watched in, they haven't really mic'd up the players, and it's just made a huge difference, really, having them. And they did it deliberately, because obviously the guys at Warhammer TV don't have a massive knowledge with Heresy rules, so they couldn't commentate on it. And I think it worked in the favour really well. It was just like watching a couple of guys down the club. They got rules wrong, including the news, which is cool. And they
corrected each other. They just carried on and played and had fun.
There was lots of smack talk. Yeah. It was brilliant. It was just like watching a game of Heresy down the club, as I said before. And it's really
two fully painted, beautiful armies on the table, played the way they're supposed to play.
Just, I think those red Warhammer TV dice didn't roll very well for Michael.
No, we might have to send him some. He's got some house bricks. Might have to send him some extra dice so he can roll. And if he can roll one of them on Warhammer TV, I'll be forever grateful.
I don't think they'll be allowed.
Not even if it's his game, just hurl a dice brick in there and just, you know, we might kill half the TV in there, but, you know, we just get that Geno logo up.
But if you haven't seen that and you weren't aware of it, it's on Warhammer TV, which is their Twitch channel. You can watch all their stuff live for free. If you want to watch the past recordings, you have to subscribe. I think it works out
£3 or £4 a month.
It's about, I think it's
$4.99,
which is like £4.50 a month. Though if you've got an Amazon Prime account, you get one free Twitch subscription for free.
So you can go and give that. So you can
subscribe for free per month and watch those. It's well worth looking, and it sounds like they might be doing some more Heresy stuff in the future now, because we've, as a community, have requested it quite a lot, and they seem to be quite aware of that. And the way they were talking, it sounds like they've been reading,
they know what's going on.
They've been reading their Facebook comments. They know what's going on.
Yeah, they are part
the Forge World guys are in a lot of the groups.
Michael's in our group. He posted about going on there. Yeah. You know, they are active in the community. They see what's being said.
Andy Hall's in loads of groups, isn't he? News is in the iHorus group, a couple of others. So Crusade and Heresy, so he pops up in there. So they know what we're saying. So,
and I'll caveat that with good and bad. They see the good stuff, the passion. They also see all the fucking pissing and whinging we do.
Acting like children, they get to see that as well. But they're aware of what's going on. So go and check it out. It was well worth watching and showing that as a community that we are live and passionate. So, next thing.
Yeah.
Telethon.
It's telethon time.
Well, it nearly is. July. So, last year we were part of the telethon. So
this is Freddie's annual raising money for DMB.
Duchenne muscular dystrophy. I can't speak now. This is how many glasses of wine
you've been fucking smacking that box all night. So... Freddie's raising money again this year. I know the Vangarian guys are doing a lot, so go and check out, for full details. But the initial plans for the telethon are rolling out. We got involved last year. I got shit-faced and ended up painting a Warhound Titan.
Not live.
He agreed to do it. Lots of stuff going on. So we're going to be involved again this year. But I think one of the things you've chatted to Pretty about is shifting the time slightly, because I think last year it started at midnight British summertime.
Yeah.
And ran to the early hour.
It's a bit tough on British time. And Europe, because mainland Europe's an hour ahead, aren't they?
Yeah, most of Europe was asleep when it was on. I'd already killed most of my liver by the time we got started, so I wasn't in particularly eloquent form. So I think it's going to stay.
I believe, I briefly chatted with him, but I believe it's going to start at 10 p.m. British summer time. So means hopefully the part of that was to do with that, because we possibly can't do in the middle of the night. Cause we both have Sunday commitments. But if it all goes to plan, we should be on a fairly early doors. And if you live in other parts of the world, well, you know that all the other podcasts will be on more in your time zone. So it almost works out quite right for your time zones. But we will be on at some point if we can. And when we get more details on in terms of what time it's going to be on exactly, all the links and stuff you need to follow, we will let you know. But this is kind of an early shout out that it's happening again this year, 28th, 29th of July, depending on your time zone. So I think 29th, Saturday the 28th, 10 p.m. is when it should kick off.
UK time,
subject to change because we aren't the organisers. We
just sort of said to British it might be a bit easier for us and easier for people in Europe to jump on. And
so it's hosted by the TFL guys in Texas on their YouTube channel, and Chris Priddy's he's on the Covenant of Fire with Jake. So
I think the problem is it means basically Priddy has to be, because he runs it, he's got to be on the whole way bloody through, and it makes a huge commitment for him. I think
it's 6 or 8 hours maximum broadcast time as well, which creates a problem, because I asked him about, well, why don't we do 12 hours? I reckon we've got enough podcasts globally that we can easily do 12. Let's properly bisect the time zones, but I think the problem is the amount of broadcast
you can only do so long before it'll cut out and it will lose it all. So that's wicked. And then we have a big announcement for the show.
Yeah, we do. So we've teased this a little bit in the last sort of month or so. Some pictures of some gorgeous dice bags from Michael at Greyed Out Productions. So Michael's come on board with Greyed Out Productions to be a show sponsor. So what that means is that you can order Geno branded, because that's what everyone wants.
Fucking right.
Dice bags, and they are big. They can hold at least
two dice
of our massive dice. Just like Tom's ball sack, he can hold 2 dice. No,
I couldn't get a fucking one of those dice in my ball sack.
You're getting older now; they start to hang lower and shrivel.
No, I've been out in the cold too long. They've shriveled up and fucking disappeared.
We just totally. I say we
sidetracked. You started talking about ball bags again.
again. Like we haven't recorded this before.
There was definitely no technical difficulties with this episode. So you can. Michael's joining us as a sponsor. We basically discussed with Michael. Michael's been around since the very start of the show. Really, he was one of the very early listeners and always been around. And we like to support other people in the community doing community stuff and making things and getting involved in the community. So. Michael is making the dice bags, and 100% of the proceeds go to Michael from the dice bags and support another local small business. He has the Geno images and the rights to reproduce.
He's a local, small, global.
Yeah, local,
business.
Small. The world's local now.
Weird, isn't it?
When you use something like Etsy, the world is local. So, it's all about we're not trying to hawk a load of cash and rake in our taxes from you guys. We wanted to do something with somebody who supported the show from the very beginning to help him. So we gave him the Geno logos and said, cool, crack on, make dice bags. So he's making some Geno sponsored dice bags. Now, he is US based, so shipping to the UK might be a bit of a cost, to you guys. What there has been discussion about, I know with a few people I've mentioned it to, is getting together and doing a group order. And I know Michael is in the group as well. I'm happy to help with stuff. It might be worth, if you're interested in one, getting a few of you together, ordering together, and getting it all shipped in one place, and then sorting out the distribution from there. If you're going to an event or something, maybe get them split out there. Use the group. People can organise through there.
Absolutely. So. We're quite lucky. We have some to give away.
Oh, just before we do that, if you go through Michael's Etsy store, you can use the discount code Geno52, which is Geno and then 5 and 2 as words. All one word run together, and that will get you 10% discount on it as well. But you've got to go through his Etsy store, not his website. But you can save yourself a bit of cash that way as well. Yeah, Cool.
Absolutely.
And as you were saying, G, we have
3 to give away, and we're not only do we have 3 to give away,
we have the last 3
we're going to fill them with one of the last 3 dice. We sold out all our dice. We've got a few dribs and drabs left. But
So
we will add one of the house bricks in. So if we
can afford the
you
shipping,
haven't built your first home and you need the foundation stone, you can use it for that.
We're also going to check in some of the new Geno stickers. So the guys coming to Tarsus have seen the new Geno stickers in the group. We will throw in a couple of new Geno stickers as well for you guys. So we'll make a little Geno care package and send them out.
But it's the dice bag you really want.
Yeah, so it's with the new dice bag as well. So you got everything you need. So what do you need to do to go and win one then, Stu?
Send me money. No, you need to go to Grayed Out Productions. Now the links are all in the show notes.
Grayed Out's Facebook page.
Yep. So go to the Grayed Out Productions Facebook page, like it, and screenshot it to say that you've liked, so we can see that you've liked it. And just after this show goes up, I will post, do a separate post that's announcing Grayed Out Productions as a show sponsor. You need to post the picture in that page
As a comment on that post.
A picture, yeah.
And what we'll do by the next show is we'll pick 3 winners and we'll give you some dice bags and some bricks.
Yeah, it's not first come, first served in terms of who wins. We will randomise it.
We'll just randomly.
Obviously, when only 2 of you win it, someone's going to get 2 dice. No, anyway. We'll so, minimum effort, really, to try.
You got to like one page and take a screenshot. Come on, that can't be too hard for you fuckers who paint all this shit.
Exactly. So.
I think let's take a short break and let's roll back and wibbly wobbly timey wimey shit. Get Jack on like he's live now, and it definitely wasn't pre-recorded a while ago. So coming up, Jack from Anvils of Konor. Enjoy, boys.
Has your performance been letting you down recently? Have your bombs been jettisoned before your mission was complete? Do you find yourself accidentally rolling too early? Has your bag dropped its load before the game? Then Grayed Out Productions have the answer. Michael's handcrafted dice bags are a must-have for any tabletop gamer prone to spilling their pearlescent gaming A's before they're ready. Why not check out Grayed Out Dice Bags on Facebook, at their website at www.gradeoutproductions.com, or find them on Etsy. Grayed Out Productions are the only place where you can get the official Geno52 podcast dice bag. And Geno listeners can get 10% discount by entering Geno52, all in words, at the checkout in the Etsy store. Get control of your load today.
Welcome back then, guys. We are back in the Conservatory of Doom. I don't know, we haven't got a name yet, has it?
People know that because they've probably been in it for the rest of the show, Tom.
Yeah, but well, I'm back
in fact,
in
we're
it.
recording this segment away from the rest of a normal show.
Shh, don't spoil the magic.
You already have.
No, I called it the Conservatory of Doom.
We're back in it.
We might have named it that.
Maybe that whatever show this goes in,
we
can record in a different room for each section.
As always, when we've come back from a break, we've come in with a clear and concise start to the next section, and it's come. Within 3 lines, it hasn't been sidetracked totally. So should we start that one again? Welcome back. We're back in the dungeon. No, we're not in the dungeon. That's been. Is that still living? It's fucking brilliant intro, isn't it? Anyway. We're here, we're recording, there's a microphone here, and for the first time
there's
ever...
a microphone here. What?
Yeah, one microphone, I'm just fucking yelling. We are joined by our first ever live studio guest. So everybody welcome Donald Trump.
No, we've got all the best microphones.
No, we're joined by Mr. Jack. You have probably seen him and his... pretty okay conversions, the odd kit bash he does under the name of Anvils of Konor.
Hashtag triggered.
So Jack's come down. He's he played a very unfair game of ZM with Stu in a mission that I wrote to deliberately hamper the Death Guard. And he come down to chat green stuff, sculpting, conversions and kits, and generally have a bit of a whinge and a moan about heresy.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me down, guys. It's an absolute honour. Sat in the glass
Conservatory of Doom,
glass dungeon. I don't know, moth trap, moth doom, something.
There'll definitely be moths here later. It will definitely be moths.
You're going to have to open a window. If it gets any hotter in here, it's going to get really sweaty. It's going to be the Prosperine sauna.
I think we can manage that. But it was great to have you down. We've had a nice afternoon, doing quite a lot of drinking.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Talking about everything under the sun.
You might have been drinking. Some of us were at work.
Yeah, well, how many beers are you in? Considering you only turned up halfway through.
Far more than I should have done.
Playing catch up.
You phoned your taxi. Has she replied yet?
Yes, I've got the all clear for a taxi.
She's going to pick you up.
Do you know the thing though? We had a conversation as I left the door. She went, "Do you want me to pick you up later?" I went, "No, I'll be all right. I'll be fine. I'm only going to record." Yeah, I'm an hour and a half after getting it. Can you come and pick me up later?
No, it's been a good afternoon. Obviously, we want to get you down to do this. That's not really an interview. It's going to be a bit of chat, but we wanted to talk to you for months now. We'd be talking about it, but we didn't want to do it over Skype. First of all, you were in China to start with, and your internet was terrible and it would never have worked. And we had a problem enough just making our sound normal when we recorded it over Skype when we were in the same town. So I think I'm in a new place. I'm not living out of boxes. Some of you stay tonight, and it's good to sort of get it all together and actually get a game in. I haven't played for months, so it was nice to play a game, really chill out, chat, and fire loads of questions at you about how to be a better sculptor. And I mean, I can't sculpt for shit. Can you tell me?
My green stuff abilities are limited.
It's using it to stick stuff together.
I've got green stuff cable maker now. I can roll cables. And what I do is when I do really bad kit bashes with Mechanicum, I cover all the gaps up with cables.
It's the way to do it. Just very quickly aside, but the green stuff world, I think it's called a roll maker or the cable maker.
They do a roll maker and a cable maker. It's the best thing in the world, isn't it?
So good, so good. It's a shame they used to do a tool which made little rivets, but they seem to have discontinued it, which is a shame.
I've been getting into green stuff. I just bought one of their textured rollers.
Nice.
Side track. I'm doing Star Wars Legion, so I'm painting up some stormtroopers, and I wanted to do.
It's not heresy.
I know. But I wanted to do starship bases, so I bought their rolling pin that's got that, and because you just roll up the green stuff, roll the pin over it, stick on base, instant textured base, and they do a whole range of those, don't they?
They look really. I'm pointing out, they look really.
They're really good. The quality it comes. It's like a glass. It looks like a glass dildo, to be perfectly honest, with texture on it.
Texture,
textured for his and/or her pleasure. Erebus.
But the quality of it. I was expecting a plastic kind of cheap thing. Yeah. It's a really good.
So what does it for you most? Cobblestone, rough brick,
diamond pattern.
They do a swamp one.
Really?
Bit of swampy goodness.
Soft and subtle. Anyway, what we haven't done is let's let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, who the hell are you?
Tell us a little bit about your hobby background and what you do. For people that aren't on social media, so people aren't on Instagram and stuff, might not know who you are or what you do. So give us a bit of an intro to you as a gamer and you as Jack of Anvils of Konor.
Yeah, sure. So I've been into the sort of Games Workshop hobby for a very long time. So I was actually sort of advising my mother what to buy my oldest brother Joe for Christmas about 23 years ago, and we went to Toys R Us and bought the second edition box set with the beautiful cardboard scenery and the
cardboard dreadnought,
and cardboard killer can,
killer cans,
and the monopose Gretchens with the spiky heads. If you trod on them, you'd probably have to go to A&E. But we did that and got him that box set. But being the oldest brother, he conscripted myself and my other brother Tom into painting these the Marines up as blood angels, and the old using a brush too large and being an 8-year-old trying to paint eyes. It was a harrowing experience. But that was my first sort of introduction to the hobby. And we always lived around the corner from a Games Workshop, and it was always very interesting popping in. And it was back in the day when you could buy a metal tactical squad for 10 quid or something. So
or you could actually go and buy a heavy bolter marine or individual blister packs.
Yeah. You didn't have to go to some shady backstreet organ dealer in Necromunda to
just
fund
to get your odd heavy bolter here.
Yeah. So that was the sort of first dip into it, and I sort of fannied around. I was always more inclined to sort of convert, and then I did a bit of painting when I was much younger, and then I sort of, as you typically do, you hit puberty and you lose interest in
discover girls and beer.
Yeah, in any kind of order.
Discover Irish nurses and
Irish nurses. Yeah,
there's a joke only 3 people are going to get.
Yeah, half painted contemptors and Irish nurses, but in the same bed with one of those texture rollers. Sounds like a good date to me.
She seemed quite happy. One as well.
It was the swamp one. Jesus, it was actually the sort of Prospero desert base, the little tips of obelisks. Really tickles her fancy, but
dry and barren.
Oh no, it's a desert oasis, filled with magic and or scarabs. Hopefully not the scarab part. You'd think that wouldn't be like. No wonder I've been a bit itchy recently, but no. Anyway, so
get down that Prospering clinic.
yeah. Just go. What's the discipline for like flesh changing and all that sort of stuff? Yeah. Go and visit Hathor Matt or whatever the hell his name is. He'll sort out your scrot rot.
Do you think that's really what the flesh change is? The
Oh.
Thousand Sons is just a bit promiscuous.
A little bit. Everyone says it's the Emperor's children, but those Thousand Sons...
They just keep it all in check with their space bullets, the mind bullets.
So, you dip in and out of the hobby, and I say it fits and starts, but really got back into it about 3 years ago. And I remember I'd worked on this like old school conversion, and I'd started getting into sculpting cloaks and stuff like that, and it was all very there were a few decent tutorials online on these sorts of things, and thought I'd give it a go. And I'd always recommend that anyone just who cares if it doesn't turn out right. The more often you try it, the better you'll improve over
green
a
stuff.
Short period
Really
of time.
isn't an expensive thing to buy.
It's not at all.
I bought a couple of years ago, the little GW pack with a little short thing, thinking, and you think you're going to run out of that shit. I barely got through a tiny bit of it. It's amazing how far a little bit will go.
Definitely.
So you can't. It's not like it's not like buying a resin piece of model and trying something out and fuck it. Well, you've wasted 50 quid.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you can always just scrap it, try again, and you've also got the amount of time that it's still pliable and all this sort of stuff. So just like I would just say, be daring. Maybe try and get yourself out of your comfort zone. And even I get in positions. I was chatting to Stu earlier about wanting to start doing sculpting faces and heads and like doing full sculpts, and it's something that I really want to do, and I know that it's something that will progress my modelling further, my sculpting further. But it's like that's a big step. I just need to stick a rod up my arse, and I'm surprised with the whole. I mean, this is not modelling but painting. How getting into events has sort of really got me juiced up for painting, where I never thought in a million years I'd be in this position where I have
a painted army,
like hashtag fully painted or whatever.
Well, you say fully painted. It wasn't the last event.
Irish nurses got in the way. Yeah. So the last 3 years really got into it, and I think the year that I spent out in China teaching was really great for me, just trying new things.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of reading of like Black Library stuff whilst I was out there, which I think as well really recommend doing if you want to really get sort of inspired to make specific models or a specific idea or theme. I'm reading Betrayer for the second time at the moment. I'm thinking, oh shit, I've got my Death Guard. I want to work on a couple of other armies, but now I really want to do World Eaters. It's like, just there's not enough time.
It's that famous because how often do I would, especially when I was doing all the books again for the second time, the end of last year, didn't I? I'd message you and you'd be like, "You've clearly just finished a book," because I'm doing this army, and after a couple of weeks I'd have got something else because I'd gone to it. But yeah, I love there's nothing for inspiring you like the Black Library books. Every time you read one of those, like any of the big books as well, Master of Mankind, Betrayer, the first trilogy. I mean, how many times have you done the first trilogy and gone, "I'm going to do a Sons of Horus army"? It just there's nothing to get you juices flowing like the Black Library books.
I can no longer read. Is it Galaxy in Flames, the third one?
Yeah.
Because I've just trashed my copy from just tears of sadness. Just this vision of the, Golden Imperium shattered.
Well, this is the thing. See, I got back into playing 40k for about 6 months. And it was okay. And I was like pottering along and stuff. And then I read the first Horus Heresy book. And I'd read the other books. I'd read the Ultramarines Omnibus. And they were good, but they were like what I remembered as a kid, kind of like action movie books.
Yeah.
There's a difference, isn't there?
I mean, the Ultramarines Omnibus is 2 Ultramarines going around basically saving the entire galaxy by themselves. And it's fun, but it's a bit... And I remember reading that first trilogy and being like, this actually feels like, I say, proper literature, if you know what I mean.
Real.
There's a difference.
Yeah,
There's a
there
clear
was a
difference.
huge... And that was where the obsession with Horus Heresy started. I'd read about 8 or 9 books before I realised you could play Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
And that to me was like, fuck me, I can play that. And then I discovered the big black books as just a huge source of information. And the obsession just rolled from there. It was getting in, that first trilogy, it was like, this feels like a grown-up has written this book for another grown-up.
I completely agree. I mean, it's the opening line to Horus Rising. I'm sure this has been probably done to death on podcasts, but it was like, I was there the day Horus slew the Emperor.
I had to Google it instantly. I thought, shit, this has been retconned.
What? Is this some sort of China cast book? What's this going on? No.
I genuinely, I had to go on Wikipedia, like the 40K-pedia and stuff, and Lexicon, and check they hadn't retconned these.
Imagine.
And it was just, and I was gripped from that moment because I was like, what the fuck? Oh my god, I've got to read this book now and find out what the hell's going on. And
what were you? Hang on a minute. You read the first line and went, I've got to read this now.
We know it. It got me by the balls. It was like, you're into it. I was like, what?
Yeah, it was very. I mean, I read a lot of. I've talked about this before.
Heresy,
I've read a lot of Black Library novels that I put down after a first chapter or two because they just weren't.
Damnation of Pythos.
It pays off in Ruinstorm. It doesn't make it a good book. But it pays off.
But there's worse than that, especially aside from the Horus Heresy. I was playing fantasy for years and trying to read fantasy novels, but then going, I really want to read stories in this universe, but not being able to finish them because they just weren't enough for me. There wasn't enough character development, etc. And reading those novels for the first time. This is long before the Black Books. It was long before you could play it. Reading that first trilogy, I was on holiday, I was in Greece, and I'm reading that first trilogy and thinking, yeah, these are proper books. This
has been written by a grown up for a grown up.
And if you do like the fantasy novels, the Time and Legends Black Warhammer fantasy books are well worth a read. Little tip for everyone out there. The Sigmar series is really, really good. Graham and Neil, that was a bestseller as well. They were clearly trying to go down a Black book series for Black style series for fantasy. It didn't work out. Anyway, that's sidetracked. So. Where do we get to? Because we've gone on a massive tangent there. So you were talking about your inspiration.
A tangent?
Talking about your inspirations for when you were in China and you were.
I guess that's a good sort of bolt on as well. Listening to audiobooks. I mean, there's I suppose you get what is it usually Jonathan Keeble on Audible, who does lady voices. Okay. I suppose. But anyway, listening to audiobooks, I think I've listened to a couple.
This is not like a little Brit who goes, I'm a lady.
yeah. It's like, fire the Ursa's claws. But anyway, so listening to the audiobooks, reading the books, I think to some extent as well, again, this is going to be a completely personal thing, but listening to the right music as well, I think you can really get, when you have like, pre-drinks and you've got your tune, as it were, not your choom. I've got plenty of choom today. Thank you very much, Stu. It's melting faces that probably should not be melted, but yeah. So and also just I think again I spoke earlier with Stu about this. Just Instagram. I know that people are like, a lot of people are maybe a little bit hesitant to join. But for hobbying, it is
it's amazing,
just incredible. Like you've got, on a daily basis, you've got the whole hashtag thing, so you can look specific stuff up. So you can look up, hashtag Iron Hands or hashtag, don't lose your head. Lol, sorry, Iron Hands players. Better off without him. Actually, Meduson is a much better war leader.
You haven't done Old Earth then, have you?
I have. Don't. She's reading it now, so no.
Oh, we better be
hashtag spoiler alert.
No more spoilers.
I got about 2 pages in last night, but I was a bottle of red wine and 2 ciders in, and I kind of fell asleep. So.
It's a good book, actually. Old Earth, I thoroughly enjoyed.
I gave up waiting for it to come out on Audible, so I just bought the book.
Yeah. I think I paid for the audiobook separately because I hadn't listened to a heresy book in ages. So when
I get audiobooks for $7.99 a month on Audible, and all the other books are there, I couldn't bring myself to spend 30 quid on it, so I just bought.
How much is it? Audiobook?
Audiobooks and Black Library are a rip-off.
Yeah, they're about
But
30 quid.
from
Audible.
from Black Libraries.
Yeah,
From Black Library, it's
If you
about
buy the
20, 30 quid. Direct download.
Audible subscription I have is
It's
one
£7
book a
a
month
month.
for $7.99.
That's a lot better.
So having been used to that, I struggle to then pay the full
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
So,
That's
What
tough.
what annoys me is that the ebooks are like £9.99 and the audiobook download is £30, and you're like, but I'm getting the same thing essentially, except for you're talking to me. Why is the audiobook 3 times as much as the ebook? Because they're only downloading files still anyway.
yeah, I mean,
Why are we
I
paying
bought
for it?
my ebook from Amazon.
Yeah.
Just so I can read it on my Kindle, and that was $9.99, which is about £3 or £4 more
Yeah.
than all the normal books that are on.
But why is the audiobook £30?
It's the same as when you buy those audio CD things. They were always expensive. It's always been expensive.
But
It's
you're only downloading
Audible
a file as well.
Yeah, but it's about the production and the actors. It costs a lot more
Bollocks
to do
to
it. So
them.
the author's written it,
Yeah.
and then you've got sound engineers, you've got
Bollocks
actors
to
to do
them.
it. It takes them a long time to read it. Can you imagine reading that book out loud, Tom? How long it would take
How long it would
you
take
to
that's
record it?
not a fair comment, because it would take me a year, because I can barely
maybe
read
we
my
should
own
start
name.
putting this out. Tom reads heresy.
Shall I read a section of heresy? Especially when I'm a few IPAs in.
I'm not listening to it. I'm just going to leave you in here recording while I'm away working. I won't even edit it. I'll just put it out. Help people with insomnia. Right, anyway, we've gone off on a tangent again.
It's going to happen. I'm sorry. I'm a bit juiced up with the old IPA and swamp roller. Sorry, wait, what? What was that? What's this on my seat?
I came over and there were swamp rollers everywhere.
Yeah, it's just suspended from strings in the Conservatory of Doom. Moths covering them. Is the moths for his or her pleasure? Who knows?
So, sculpting and green stuff then. You're talking to me. I barely can make a roll. Where should I start? Well, where's a good place to start? I don't want to. Should I go and sculpt a face, or should I start working on maybe doing the odd cloak?
So I think a really good place to start, and this is where I did. So a lot of the time, this is like before a lot of the before Forge World really did any heresy stuff. It's when you bought the old Black Templars upgrade box, and you had Mark IV body in there and a Mark IV head. And then you'd want to play around with, having wider arm poses and stuff. So you'd have a gap in the armpit area, and sort of, just pushing a bit of green stuff in there, and then just playing around with, a scalpel and getting those lines down. And that's a great place to start, because you learn, how to work with the medium to some extent. So
getting some texture on your gap filling.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to have that sort of like soft armor ribbed effect, ribbed for
the marine sort of fisting pleasure.
So and that's like I've seen that's probably like the first place where people start with gap filling. Maybe they've posed and there's a little bit on a leg or midriff or something.
I can attest to that. That's the kind of thing I probably did. Was I filled a gap, need to make it look all right.
It's good. It
Let's
should
make
just
it
look
look
like
a bit
blob,
like fur, or make it. It's just some way of hiding it, and you might even stick another bit of a model, as you might stick a little weapons pack or something, and hide it. It's not good sculpting, but it's ways of kind of hiding.
Oh no, completely. If you can sort of obfuscate that sort of area. But then you extend that to, let's say, from an armpit where it's pretty hidden away, after a paint job. Now I know this is the funny thing. So I've done sculpting for so long, and now I've only in the last 6 months started painting. It's clearly I wasn't sculpting with painting in mind, or I realised that I've just kind of wasted a lot of time doing that. But I would recommend the gap filling, and then you start getting into changing positions of hands as well, which is so you can have really dynamic poses with like a Moritat or sergeants and stuff with close combat weapons and pistols or something. And I almost always will position with I'll get a tiny drill bit and a very fine piece of copper wire. So you can make the main pose, so you can bend the wrist or really bend it if it's Emperor's Children. Sorry, so fucking trigger warning. But anyway, so and then you've got that position held, and then obviously you need to make sure to some extent it's actually physically possible. So great way to do that: pose it with your own body. See how far you'd be able to move yourself, and if you can't do that, then chances are it's not a feasible sort of position.
Well, it depends how far that demon is inside you.
Well, yeah. It's pretty about 3 inches in at the moment. So.
Oh, that's the green stuff roller, mate.
Yeah. Swamp. God. Thrown above. And then from there, I mean, I think, we I know it's going on a lot of tangents and stuff, but another great way of inspiring yourself is to look at the artwork as well.
Yeah.
And if you've got a particular piece of art when you're like, oh shit, that is just amazing. That's really, really just, I can't stop looking at this picture. It depicts, how I feel this legion or this unit or this character should be depicted perfectly. Maybe there's something there that isn't a component that you can find on, frankly, the Forge World range of parts is amazing. Yeah. Really, really, really good.
I think you're a big one for Egghead miniatures as well, aren't you? Because one of the problems with Forge World for conversion parts is buying a set is usually quite expensive if you're trying to hunt out one or two. And I know Egghead do a great job of buying sets, breaking them up, and being able to get that bolter or that axe that you want out of them.
Completely. Really, really great part. Their customer service is amazing as well. And you get it. I've made so many orders and you get the parts the next day.
Yeah.
And for someone like me, I'm very impatient, and I also do commission kit bashes and sculpts and stuff. It's great for me when I'm like, okay, I want to get this done. And
I need to get this done to this deadline. I need the stuff now.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm like the whole impatience thing. Even with myself, if I get an idea for something, I want to fulfill it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of really sort of champing at the bit to get the parts down. But yeah, Egghead are great, really really good, fantastic range. And get a lot of very up-to-date bits and pieces and Primark parts as well. So you can, I was just reading in Betrayer that was it in the Night of the Wolf, where Lehman Russ is like, Angron, you are a deranged motherfucker. I'm gonna reel you in a bit, and he's wielding a massive chainsword. Obviously, the Russ miniature doesn't have a chainsword, but it would be cool to maybe buy Dawn's chainsword and
wolf it up a bit.
Add about 40 million pelts. And,
wolf cocks on wolf cocks on wolf cocks.
Yeah.
Just don't forget the bolter purse.
No, I'm very conscious that I'm rambling a lot, but
oh no, you're perfectly in keeping with the rest of everything else we've recorded.
Just I'll get the edited version, and be like, but I was only speaking for 30 seconds. It's like 99.9% of it was bullshit. But,
I've shoe edited the bullshit I talked out of it that I wouldn't feature in the show.
It's like
we wouldn't have a show. We wouldn't have a show at all.
But yeah, just back to the whole, trying bits and pieces out. I try and give back to the community where I can, because it's always been very nourishing and welcoming and supportive, which is one of the reasons why I love specifically Horus Heresy and the 30k community, because people are so welcoming, and it's just a very very sort of warm environment to hobby in. But so on my pages on Facebook and Instagram, I'll do the occasional sort of tutorial. And I'm not saying that what I'm doing is the right way to do anything, but
this is how you achieve what
you do. So it's what I do, and if people are interested, how to make it easy for them. And I've always said to people, if you want to send me a message or something, I'm more than happy to sort of help you out with that sort of stuff. And I guess this section as well is good for letting people know about the right tools and places to start and stuff like that. So which I'm sure we'll cover.
Definitely going to be one of my questions.
So with that then, right, I've done my bit of green stuff into fill gaps and stuff. You mentioned obviously scalpel, nice sharp scalpel. What are the other basic sort of tools? If I'm starting out, where do I want to go to?
Yeah, so it's really basic stuff that a lot of people don't think about. Like having a really clean hobby area is good practice anyway. Yeah. But the amount of times
not mine.
Yeah,
it's a fucking shithole.
All those swamp rollers, questionable materials on them.
Imagine you can't have bits in your green stuff, can you?
Yeah, exactly.
Really clean.
Exactly.
It's quite different to when you're painting and making a mess. You need a clean area because
complete. I mean, even
when you would roll out pastry for make a pie on a messy work surface with your
Why not?
baked beans from breakfast.
Oh,
and
why not?
Baked bean pie.
More flavour.
It's not like the ethos of Greg's Bakery.
cat hair and
It's all extra flavour, mate.
Oh my god! But yeah, so just having like a good. I mean, I'm a total hypocrite here, by the way, because my hobby space is usually like a fucking bomb site. It's like Isfan 3, like a few weeks later, you know. But yeah, so how clean hobby area, clean hands, all this sort of stuff, because you will be using your fingers a lot. But also, you know, just even like a ceramic tile or a plate that you can put the green stuff on in itself when you're working with it. Vaseline or water is pretty good. I mean, I actually rate Vaseline a lot because it really helps with the tools that I'm about to sort of explain.
See, I've heard lots of things about people. So I've got Vaseline for use with green stuff, and I've heard use it, and then I've heard podcasts where people, not heresy ones actually, but fantasy ones, where they went to Adepticon, they went to a sculpting class, and they say, don't use Vaseline, use water. So that's quite interesting, is it? I find it really useful. But
Yeah.
So why would people not use it? Why is there a?
Well,
an
I
argument
think so. So the pros and cons, like there are certain putties that you get that have a great relationship with water, so you can use water to sort of as a lubricant in itself.
Yeah,
and it'll
Milliput that smooths well with water.
Milliput does really well with water.
Always clay-like, isn't it? When
yeah,
you
exactly.
Clay.
You know. And like it's weird because green stuffs that you buy across different companies, same like it's Neadertite. It's just like sort of brand name, as it were. But I've had issues in the past with official Games Workshop stuff, and I think it varies from batch to batch, which is a little bit disappointing because it's not such a consistent material. But you can, I'd say if I was going to do a cloak. I'd use a little bit of Vaseline.
Yeah.
Because you want to have apply a really consistent amount of pressure. You want the tool. You don't want it to snag, or you want it to glide very well. And after that's dried, usually you'll be going over it anyway with planing it off with a scalpel blade.
Right, so you can wash it away, clean it away.
You wash it away, absolutely. So I mean that would be why I think people would be like, stay away.
Because I've always found it useful. But the first time I heard don't use it, I was thinking, why is that? But again, it's going to be different artists like to use different things.
Horses for courses, and what works for me may not work for everyone. But I've always, again, this is the great thing. Like, just experiment with it. Try different things. Try new techniques and stuff that maybe you're not completely used to, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so as well as having like a dish or I used to go to B&Q and get just a white tile or something.
Yeah, just
I use a white tile for mixing.
Yeah, because they're brilliant. Bit of hot water.
You can always ask for a sample. They do look funny. Have a sample of the white tile. I just want to see if it goes up against my white wall.
Because I don't know what white looks like.
It isn't.
You do a 5 figure discount as well. No,
it isn't for naughty salt. I promise.
I did almost get caught robbing slate chips out of B&Q for baking material once I stuffed in my pocket.
That's nothing.
It's better than upsetting the neighbour.
The local police station used to have some out front that would sort of walk around and pocket some. Be like, oh, this is. Hang on, this is going to get edited out. It's like,
just don't say where the police station was.
Yeah. Kind of a big deal. Like, can't arrest me. So yeah.
Don't I'm Trump?
Yeah. We've got all the best lawyers.
No, most of my lawyers have been arrested.
Oh shit. So another thing. So you mentioned scalpel earlier, and I'm again, what is this like? Disclaimer, be very careful with scalpels because they may cut you. But always, I go through maybe a fresh scalpel blade every hour or two. Yeah. That maybe seems extreme, but
do you use medical ones?
I use 10A Swan Morton.
Okay.
So that they're not sterilised, but they are the same sort
as
of
sharp and as
god no. I made a very rookie error about 10 years ago where I was cutting. So three things. I was using a fresh blade. First mistake with this particular job. Second problem, I was cutting metal. Ooh, this is very anvils of fail, And the third one, I was cutting towards myself, so managed to embed the scalpel blade in my thumb. I mean, you lads can see, lovely scar there.
Yeah.
So, and it was with such violence that the scalpel blade snapped off in my finger.
Oh.
And I started gushing blood everywhere and had to go to A&E, and it was like pretty horrific. Thank fuck I've still got feeling in my thumb.
So people whinge and moan about resin and plastic models, and I'm like, you fucking lead and pewter. You don't know what it's about.
Yeah. When I was born, I died. When I used to work 30 hours a day and all this sort of
fucking
stuff.
luxury.
Fucking luxury.
You want to be careful with them, definitely.
I've
got no feeling on the end of that finger.
Oh god!
On a cut,
but
that wasn't a hobby.
That was from the swamp roller.
it was a wine glass. I was drunk.
You are the Geno 52's premier red wine enthusiast.
Oh yeah, my god.
I use we're talking about scalpels. I use medical ones.
Yeah.
They're fucking cheap.
Yeah, very very cheap.
I bought.
Well, they're designed to be used once and chucked in a bin, aren't they?
200.
Unless you're some dodgy back alley in like
250 for about
$5.99.
250 blades for $5.99.
Fuck me, I need to get some of those. I go through scalpel blades like there's no tomorrow.
Well, it means you don't. That point when you think, I could change that. But I'll get a little bit more time out of it because I've only got one fresh one left, and you've got that little plastic tube with them in. The medical ones all come in these little foil wrappers because they're all sterile.
Yeah.
And they're the same thing.
Yeah.
So, I just found it really. I've only bought one set.
eBay?
Because I'm still. Yep. You want to buy the right
style
metal
Tom's going on eBay right now.
No, because my blades. I've run out. I've only got one really long blade. The one that's sort of. It's great.
The medical one.
It's like a fucking Thousand Suns close combat weapon.
Yeah,
he's gesturing with his fingers here. It's like a
you want to point. I suppose if you don't want pointed ones, the medical ones aren't going to be any good.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, they even when they get dull, because it's such a sharp, fine point. Sometimes if I need to apply a bit of super glue to like a really sort of confined area, I'll just pour some onto my cutting mat. Yeah, bit of super glue. Dip the point of the scalpel in, and you can just almost surgically apply it.
Yeah.
So no, it's really, really good. But again, be fucking careful. Basically,
I've got a cut on my thumb.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten so good now. If I've cut, it's when you've got that sharp pain and you're like, okay, blood's going to start coming out now, and you just dab a bit of super glue on there. Probably not the best thing to do, but But so another thing that I'm a huge fan of, they're called color shapers or clay shapers. And there's a company called Royal Sovereign Limited that produce these. I think they're actually for oil painting.
They are.
But you have a couple of different densities for them. You've got like white is soft, grey is medium, and black is firm. And they are absolutely amazing for things like sculpting cloaks and different textures.
It just takes all the pressure out.
Well, exactly. Yeah, just you really sort of, because this is a thing. If you press into green stuff too much, it can be a real ball ache to rewind, as it were, and sort of undo that particular situation you've got yourself in. So those are an absolute godsend as well. And you can get those. I mean, they don't necessarily have to be that particular brand. They are the best ones in my opinion. They can be quite pricey. I think they're about £6 each.
Swan Newton.
No, these are
clay shapers. Sorry,
yeah. So
I've just ordered 20 clay Swan Newtons.
Yeah, they're good.
£5.
Good. Yeah.
20 10A shaped.
Yeah,
Swan Newtons.
They're very, very good.
£5 off eBay.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted. We were talking clay shapers.
No, so the clay shapers, it's called Royal Sovereign Limited.
So with clay shapers, very ignorant here. I've got the GW sculpting tools that they did with the. Are we talking a similar thing to them? The metal kind of.
The rubber end.
These are
rubber
end.
Brushes. They've got a ferrule as well. They've got a rubber end to it. Basically.
So different. Yeah. So we're talking a different set of tools to the sort of GW kit that they got.
Complete, and they're different shapes as well. So you have like a chisel.
Hello, Alan.
Alan the cat.
Tom's allergic to cats.
I'm allergic to you. I'm gonna blow on your arsehole.
He loves that.
No, he loves that. He's not fucking moving.
He's backing up to Tom's mouth at the moment.
Alan,
I'm literally the only person in the room that can't touch you here. So
he's undergoing the flesh change.
To be fair, I'm sat in the spot that he's been sunning himself in all day. Go on, stick a finger at your bum.
Don't scratch your face.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't touch anything now. I can rub myself. But yeah. Anyway, Jack, we're talking about clay shapers rather than blowing
making
on
an
cat's
appearance
arseholes.
on every show.
He's now the show mascot.
cat.
I actually got more.
The third host.
I've had quite a few messages. This will date when we recorded this. I had quite a few messages following our first Alternative Army shows. I've had more messages about your wife cleaning Alan's shit out of the cat as a tray.
Amazing. Oh god.
So yeah, clay shapers.
Clay shapers, and they come in a variety of different shapes as well. For different situations. I mean, you've got like
similar to paintbrushes, the right tool for the right job.
Absolutely. And
I use a sort of pointed one, like a pencil almost.
Yeah,
I use that for putting on liquid mask.
Yeah,
I use it to paint on liquid.
Yeah, I
mask.
need to get to. I use the
it
paintbrush.
kills brushes.
Yeah,
oh god, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. A good shout actually. Yeah, liquid mask has killed like 2 cheap paintbrushes, and I'm just like, there's got to be a better way of doing that. So yeah, solid. Because I imagine with the clay shape, because it's solid end, when it dries on it, you can peel it off.
Absolutely. So I mean, it
eBay.
eBay, yeah.
Fucking this evening's costing me a fucking fortune.
Well, it's like it's but these are tools to your arsenal. Like, play around with them. Again, there are going to be some people out there who just think, I've tried this tool before. It's not worked for me at all, or whatever. And then you get some people who
fuck me, there you go. Five silicon clay shapers, £2.81 on eBay.
Yeah,
Fuck it, we'll have a
worth a squirt, as they say.
Worth a squirt. Yeah. This is the problem. Every time we record, I end up buying shit while we're recording.
My wife's just arrived.
Yeah.
So everyone say hello to Emma.
Hi, Emma.
Hello.
Tom's buying stuff that Jack's talking about.
Well, yeah, I'm shopping and recording.
Is he my sugar daddy?
No, you're my enabler.
All right, okay, yeah, works all right. But yeah,
Bye, Alan.
You've also got like old dentistry tools, but I mean, I actually don't use metal tools an awful lot.
That's more like the GW set. It's like there's like a metal pick, and then it's like what looks like a scimitar blade, but it's not sharp and a pointy bit. And
I've got a set of 5 or 6 of those, and to be honest with you, I just don't. I use them more for ripping models apart.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Opening a tub of Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, I use them more for the fucking tub of peanut butter. The textured base stuff. The paste because they're good, solid. You can use them to flop them out. Like I was about to say.
Opening the Forge World style paint pots.
Yeah,
when the little tab snips off for your thumb. So squeezing them on. Yeah,
that is hashtag trending. Very good.
I'm trying to work out what I've got in stock that I don't use that I could sell to make loads of money from the people desperate for Angron Red.
Just gurning. I think I saw someone.
Do you know what I posted in the group? Do you know why there's no Forge World paints left? Because Chip bought all the fuckers at Incom. There's fucking loads of Forge World paint at Incom because he ordered a massive order because they were running out. So I think it's about 6 pots of Angron Red.
I was in there the day that they announced that they were going on.
Oh, did you tell him to buy them?
I said, look, buy them all now.
Nice. So yeah, if you want Forge World paints, talk to Geno. We've bought them all.
There was a guy that bought like 30 or 40 pots of the Sons of Horus Green, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I just thought
there's a couple of really close matches with Vallejo.
I think George from the Spaceman with Guns, he posted
he nailed
2
it.
Valleos that are bang on.
They are
that.
so close.
And that's the thing, actually, all of those GW paints will be replaceable.
Yeah, of course they will.
People talk about Angron Red. I think the appeal with the clears was it wasn't Tamiya, so you don't use... And people always say about the fumes, I use Tamiya all the time. All you've got to do is use the same thinner with it. It's not that smelly. No. Some people are really anti-Tamiya paint, but...
I don't mind the thinners or the smell. It's more that you get less for your money in the pot.
Yeah. It's a little bit more expensive, but I always counter that with... It's good quality paint.
Very good.
I would rather... It's a very limited range, but where I can, I'll use a Tamiya.
I use it for certain applications. But anyway, we're going off on a...
Sorry, digressing. Tell me another tool that I can go and buy online, Jack.
Another tool. I'm trying to be very vicious and name drop there, but I think I've had a few too many IPAs, I think. But so yeah, I guess I think having a nice clean water source as well. Just so you can dip your tools in and also dip your tools in. Sorry, it's too easy. Yeah. Dip that swamp roller.
Tool.
No, that's why it's at the end of it removed.
Oh god, really convincing, crusty, weeping effect on that tool there. Yeah, it's my own brand of product. But yeah, so I guess those sorts of bits and pieces as well. Trying to think now.
I imagine the sort of things that go with painting, well, a good light, a decent light,
of course.
Tissues, cleaning stuff, all that kind of stuff. The white clean surface for when you're doing Third Legion and all that.
For when you're doing your sculpting in a full body like gimp suit with a zip over the mouth.
You need talcum powder for that, otherwise you get chafing.
Have you made any of your own tools? So I see lots of sculptors that will have made a tool from a bit of wire and then they've twisted it or something.
Well, I mean, it's funny you said it. I've been working on some grave wardens. Oh, fucking great! It's always just get their shit pushed in. It's fucking.
It's because they're a shooter unit, Jack, not a combat unit. If you run them into combat, they're going to get kicked in.
But no, the rate that I paint and convert stuff, it'll be bloody 23. I don't know. Hillary Clinton could be president by the time.
Today, but yeah.
Your face though, because she was so pleased he killed something with them, because they've always been such a flop, the Ogren unit.
This is before you got here, actually. That was they were the
Grave
Wardens.
No. I turned up as you were rolling the saves to the Grave Wardens, and you went. And just probably the first thing I did was see Jack remove all his Grave Wardens and his Praetor off the table.
I think I said like fucking hell, like Tom.
Every game.
Tom turns up and he's like a bad totem. He's like, just all my shit dies. But I've been working on sculpting a bit of chainmail. I did a tutorial a while back.
Yeah, I think that's one of the earliest things I saw you do. Was that it was again, and it was one of those things where I looked and I went, oh yeah, I could probably do that. Yeah, I tried it and went, no, I can't do it. I need to start on something a bit simpler first.
Yeah, like a face.
Well, cloaks is always something I've looked at as something that I could potentially do. I mean, I've always wussed out of doing it in the end, but I've always looked at it like a cloak I could probably do.
I think it helps that I studied for A-level. I did classics, and part of that was classical art and architecture.
Yeah.
So if you look at like high classical Greek sculpture, they got shit hot at sculpting drapery and cloth in marble, which is outrageous.
I can't remember what it is, but there's a very famous sculpture where it's a marble sculpture and it's basically a nudie woman, and she looks like she's got transparent cloth over her. I did an arts fucking degree, mate.
She's got a baps out.
She's got a right baps out. But they've actually sculpted the marble, and it looks like transparent cloth. And you just look at it and you're like, that's obscene.
I hope you didn't have to write up any visits to bloody.
Yeah, I did an art history. I've done art history.
And this is why Tom is banned from museums across Europe. He's like, oh, it's a nudie woman.
She got her titties out.
I better get my swamp roller out.
Nudie women and small willies.
David.
David is a massive sculpture with a massively out of proportion tiny penis. It makes me feel good about myself.
Jesus Christ. Ad break? No. So a Viagra advert, whack that in there. So yeah.
Lorgar's pill hardeners.
But things like cloth though, it is basically, again, if you follow certain steps, like you roll out a piece of green stuff or a mixture of green stuff and milliput on a tile.
So question then, I didn't interrupt you. What's the difference between green stuff and milliput?
Milliput hardens like resin. It's really, really hard, and because of that, you can like almost chisel it, and you can sand it. I actually never sand anything. I don't have a set a set of files that I ever use.
Yeah. So you can make harder shapes. You can make squares, blocks. Or something.
Yeah,
green
absolutely.
Stuff maybe better for more organic shapes and things.
And also, I tend to find sometimes, unless you really apply a lot of pressure, sometimes with just neat green stuff, you can really have issues melding the green stuff surface with, let's say, the existing plastic surface. There's always going to be that overlap. And then that becomes maybe a little bit more visible when it comes to painting. And then you have the problem that could sometimes lift off the model. Yeah. Whereas if you can use like a milliput or milliput green stuff mix, even if you don't get it completely sort of smooth on the first pass, when it dries, because it dries so hard, you can use you can plane it off with the side.
You can go with a bit of a tougher.
So we probably should all be using milliput on our tanks, not.
Absolutely, I completely agree. So the little gap filling, you can really, and especially with how invasive scalpel blades can be. Oh Jesus! It's like some backstreet, like dark market.
Don't worry, we're going to get the co-hangers out later.
Oh, well, hang on. Wait a second. So I think yeah, for gap filling for tanks and things. So
we'd actually be better off with milliput because when it dries it can be sanded more like a resin piece.
So there is like a disclaimer I'll put here. Milliput is pretty messy to work with.
Yeah.
So you get it on your fingers. You will have excess, and it won't look as immediately good. It requires a little bit more work, maybe.
But you can go back in with your files then and get a better finish long term.
Absolutely. I mean, so I would fully endorse that. I mean, there's so many different putties and stuff out there. I mean, I really need to, what was it, like push out the envelope, as it were.
I used to use grey stuff. Private Press used to do their own, but obviously it came from someone else. But I used to use that, and it seemed to be a little bit firmer when it dried. So it seemed like a bit of a
even with milliput, I use standard stuff, but you get like, I think black is super fine or white is super fine or whatever it is. I mean, I've never really, with the modelling that I do, I've never really had a requirement to get anything other than standard. Standard's fine.
But you're talking about, we're discussing with Tarsus coming up, looking at a fell blade.
Yeah.
A bigger, if you needed a gap fill on that, you'd use some milliput.
Because
you can go back in then with a file later, like you would do to take a mould line off a resin model anyway. And I suppose it's like we talk about with painting, the right tool for the job. Using an oil wash to achieve something because it's better than X or
it's
other
also
things.
how you work and what you're comfortable with. Not everyone will use oil paints. Not everyone will want to use.
Some people might prefer to use an acrylic wash instead of an oil wash because they will
sponge chip. Some people will never do that because they want to paint everything on by hand. They're not neither better. They do different jobs depending what you want and what patience level you've got.
Masochists.
But it does sound like that's very interesting that milliput dries harder. So for gap filling, it will a mixture with green stuff will adhere better, and you'll get a better contact point as well.
Well, that's something I didn't know. Well, two very quick points. So I know that you had a real ball ache with your Mastodon, I was having a few beers last night and just saying. So Tom had this Mastodon and he dry fitted it and it was perfect. And he went and painted sub assemblies, went to put it back together again, and whatever happened.
That's mainly because my Mastodon is a cunt.
But you went back to put it back together and you had to put it in hot water with paint on. That made me wince. I was like, God.
That's when you test out how good your varnish is. Yeah. And I will put my hand on my heart and say, AK Interactive Superman varnish is my hero.
Fair.
I reheated and remolded an entire Mastodon chassis with a fully painted interior. I'm pretty sure when I sent you the pictures, I could see you wincing, Stu, as I said I was doing it.
I've never had to do that, thankfully.
Just the idea, very idea of it.
I made a massive rod for my own back, though, saying that to keep the roof off. Because I know, when you did Freddy's, did the roof come off that?
We did it so it could, but instead of...
You had to do
Instead of filling the gaps, I had to build up using plastic hard rod and a bit of green stuff. I had to do that so that when you put the roof on, there wasn't a gap.
So I sort of set myself the goal of I'm going to make it go on without these. Because when I'm not comfortable with plastic hard and milliput and green stuff and making it, so I was more comfortable with taking that extra step to bend and warp the model. But like I said, maybe if I'd had those green stuff skills, I could have said, right, fuck it, I can build that out a bit and I can make that work better.
No. So that to sort of to tack on to the whole fell blade piece. So I made that end of last year, thinking that I feel that that's very sort of fluff accurate for Death Guard.
Yeah.
Just sort of like super heavy, just sort of bloody tracks grinding over skulls that have been fucked up by phosphex or whatever, or however it is. But there's a lot of parts because it's a big resin model. There's also a larger sort of chance, or you get bigger issues with warpage and all that sort of stuff. So
a small percentage warp will make a bigger impact on a large kit like that.
Yeah, no, hugely so. So I mean, as much as you can sit down and try and use like a hairdryer. I mean, actually, using a hairdryer is a terrible idea. I've heard because it's almost too hot sometimes.
You got to use a mixture of both, as with everything.
Yeah.
I use a hairdryer all the time for things like bending cables and stuff because you apply a short, sharp heat.
Yeah.
In it goes.
Okay.
If you're going to rebend an entire chassis of a Mastodon and you need to apply a lot of heat to a large section for a considerable
you're
amount
not
of time.
going to heat enough of it.
Hot water will give you a far more even heat across the whole chassis.
I've seen people put them in ovens and stuff. I've never done that.
Imagine if it's like some.
Did I show you at some point I ovened the Mastodon as well?
Did you?
So here's a fucking stupid thing. I put the guns on the anti-air thing on the wrong side, so the barrels were underneath. I didn't realise that I built it, and I might have had to admit it to Carl that I fucked it up, and I had to put it in the oven, and then the freezer, and then the oven, and then the freezer, and then it came apart. So not only did the Mastodon get water on it fully painted, it got fucking ovened.
What, after painting?
No, I hadn't painted
fucking
that.
hell,
I primed it.
My penis fully invert. Just the idea of just a fully painted Mastodon.
So I was
in hot
talking
water.
to Ali from Legion of Lies today, and he sent me a message. He said, "I love your Mastodon." He said, and this is not a criticism, but I spotted a mold slip on the command section. And I said, I know it's there. I said, I didn't spot it till after painting. He was like, did you not feel like going back? I was like, you do not understand how much went into building that Mastodon, to the point where I saw it's not a massive mold slip, but it's obvious when you look at the model, and I went, I cannot be fucked to deal with that.
No, I wouldn't be doing it. Not once it's painted, that's it.
It only had the base airbrush white down on it when I spotted it, so I hadn't done the details. So I just went, you know what? I reckon I took about 20 hours to build the Storm Eagle.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to putting one of those together.
I reckon I've put 40 hours into building the Mastodon to make it work.
Fucking hell.
And it still isn't right. It still isn't good. But Storm Eagle's...
What's it like, hey, you guys? They're just rolling into combat. Babe Ruth.
Every time it opens the door, and I Discord troops, I'm just going to shout, hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
It was fucking George. He sent me a message. He went, you know that Mastodon? I said, yeah. He said, it looks really good. I said, yeah. He said, better if you put lights in it. Oh, fuck off.
Oh, yeah. He's done his...
That's Cestus.
He's done a really...
amazing.
This is what I've definitely noticed, that American hobbyists seem to really, really like...
The build.
Go the fucking whole hog. With the whole engineering side and actually getting working circuitry and...
Well, have you listened to the Spaceman with Gun episode with David Sampson from Black Label Pavement and George, where they talk about mega detailing?
Yeah.
George he cut those resin upgrade doors in half and hinged them on a Rhino, just on a fucking Rhino.
I love it. I haven't got the patience.
But this is what
because I buy an army in one go, and I'm sitting with 20 bags of resin, and I want the army built.
Yeah,
I think if
but
I
clearly for
bought
George, the
stuff
love is
one
that.
by one, and I thought I want to get, I don't know,
everything
100
out
hours
of
of
it.
Enjoyment out of building it.
Yeah,
and then I'd do it, but I don't.
But it's
I
amazing.
want to paint it. That's where I get the enjoyment of looking at the finished.
You're like
thing.
me. Build it. Building's got to be done because I want to get onto painting.
You're like Strump. Build it. Build a wall. Wait, what? Hang on.
You could get the Mexicans to build your kit.
Any
Mexicans out there want to build a Pyron that I'm currently in the middle of,
and they're going to pay for your. That's it.
And they're going to pay for my hobby as well.
Holy shit! That's actually, it's like Jack.
Do we have any Mexican listeners? Get on Podtrack. See if we've got any Mexican listeners.
Probably not.
Probably. We definitely haven't any more.
Bloody hell! But yeah. So cheeky file blade, and it will require a bit of TLC with gap filling and whatnot. But otherwise, yeah, that should be good to go. Really.
But so you say gap filling, would you go to milliput for that on such a big kit?
Yeah. On something like a super heavy. I mean, even on a Rhino, for example, I would use milliput rather.
Knowing that you can go in with a more invasive tool like a file or something to finish it off.
Intrusive, if you will.
I'm going to get right in there, 3 inches in.
Yeah, I mean, you could Dremel on milliput. You couldn't do it.
You can. I mean,
couldn't really do it on green stuff very well. It's kind of
green stuff.
Oh
the
no,
Dremel pictures.
it's rubberness.
Yeah, very
rubber
rubbery.
Yeah.
Very rubbery. So you like when people say, "Oh, I'm going to sand this green stuff." It makes my penis invert fully.
So with that, obviously, you've done your modelling, you've green stuffed a lot. At what point, you say it's very rubbery, at what point does it harden? Would it be once you've got when you get to the painting stage, once you put a primer over it, or would you want to put a varnish over it?
There's no need to varnish over modelling putty. I'd say with green stuff, after 10 to 12 hours, you could press your finger on it and you wouldn't leave a mark. Now with things like, so I have this sort of true scaling technique I have for boosting the height,
making the legs longer.
Yeah, by about like 4 or 5 mil, dependent. But I'll use milliput or a green stuff milliput mix. Like if you mix green stuff in, it makes it more user friendly.
Yeah,
so it sort of makes it a bit of like a a sort of...
You're getting the best of both properties. You're getting
Pretty
usability
much.
of green stuff and the hard finish of milliput.
How do
Indeed.
you find it mixes? Because I've used both. I've never even thought of mixing them, but from memory, it's been a long time since I've used any milliput. But I imagine the consistency. I imagine it's a real bastard to try and get them mixed with green stuff.
So I learned a very long time ago that you don't get milliput wet when you're mixing it. Like, and I remember when I first started using it, I was like, this is... So I'd use it for bases predominantly. But I was like, okay, so you mix it up, you don't get any water there. You get water when you mix up the green stuff, but I found that if you use maybe 60% blue to 40% yellow for green stuff anyway, just to use even for detailing, makes it nice and firm.
Okay,
it has
I
less...
never use water when I mix green stuff.
No, I just tend to get the two and mash it in my hand until it's done.
Until you get...
we all know I sculpt like Trump. Blah, 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 blah.
So your hands are too small to squish it
I
together.
can't really mix it any other way.
We have all the best sculpting tools. But I find a little bit of... Because it gets very tacky, so I think a bit of water on your fingertips helps. I mean, I'll often have green stuff left over in the... I don't know if you call it the tread or your fingerprint or whatever. Which can then be a really annoying when you're holding a model and then you take your finger away and you've actually left a bit of green stuff. Oh crap, okay. But with milliput, it just goes bananas if you use a little bit of water. So if you just mix it dry, again, like 50-50 mixed green stuff to milliput, and then it'll create this really nice consistency, which is you can still... plane it or sorry, Alan's got a friend.
Alan's slapping the other cat in the face, establishing dominance.
Alan.
I can't work out how to get through a door that's open.
Smelly Alan.
See, we might have had moths to distract us now, but it's cats this time.
This is Willow. She's being brave as she comes out here.
Hello, Willow.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been recording around your house for about a year before Willow turned up.
Yeah,
Alan was straight in like, oh, you're a prick, I'm off.
She doesn't like people.
No, she looks quite
I
shy.
can thoroughly sympathise with that.
But yeah, so if you mix them together, it is like a best of both worlds. So you don't get that sort of rubbery after finish or whatever of green stuff, but you also have the really nice solid drying. And I'd say I usually leave it with this because you need to create a flush. Again, now because I'm painting, I realise the necessity for getting really smooth surfaces more than ever. And I've had some of the earlier sort of, I guess, prototype true scaling stuff I've done. You can see the lines against the leg, like horizontal lines. But then I started thinking like, okay, well now I'm going to start using this mix of green stuff and milliput. And you have to wait 36 to 48 hours for it to completely dry. So there is no give at all. It won't drag. It won't, you can create a perfectly smooth surface. And again, it's all about, like, I'd say the most overriding virtue when coming to sculpt, as with painting, is just patience.
It's not a technique.
I struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Waiting 36 hours to move on.
The thing is, you're looking at like that. That's 3 days' work.
No, so I wouldn't do that for work. It's like I tend to paint people's stuff. I would never be sculpted. But I mean, we talked about it quite a long time ago. I considered doing true scale for my Fists Army. I just thought it was just the patience of doing.
You're not going to do it if you want to get an army on the tabletop for an event or something.
Yeah, not even that. I just want to get it done. I personally would really, really struggle to do that and then wait that long to sand it.
I think it's weird because I mean, for myself, I've made it work because I'll be like, okay, if I don't sculpt this now, then it delays like the next step.
Yeah.
So I'll almost force myself to be like, okay, I'll do this cheeky little bit now because I know that it'll take a day or two to dry.
Yeah.
And I'll just work on other stuff in the meantime, whether it's priming and spraying or whatever it is. Now I'm in the fucking shock horror world of painting, and you find other things to work on. So, and because I've signed up to so many events this year as well, it's sort of like, okay, well I know that I've got 4 tanks to paint for Tarsis, and I know that they're not going to require too much conversion. Because I don't want to go like comedy Nurgle or whatever and have Nurgling sticking its head out of a cannon or whatever, because that's just
boils everywhere.
Oh yeah, I know that's a bit silly, but like things like chains and rivets and stuff like that you can then paint a lot of really nice sort of weathering effects on and stuff like that.
I can't wait to see what you do with your tanks.
Well, there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube that I'm planning to incorporate, and again, I know that I've said it a few times, but hats off to Stu for helping me out for the sort of Death Guard basic scheme in the first place, because it was, obviously Stu's an incredibly experienced painter, and all you need to do is look at his work on Miniature Realms and just see the incredible range of different techniques that he's nailed down, and just the consistency and how quickly you work as well.
Thank you. I mean, I only gave you some ideas about how you could
I'm
achieve it.
I'm actually on my knees. I'm about to take his dick in my mouth as well. But yeah.
No, I gave you some ideas how you could achieve it, but you've done it yourself, and you've done it differently than I would. So you've taken your own. You've listened to my advice and looked at other people's advice and made your techniques your own, which is what you do when you develop your own style. I think, and you've already got your own style. From your first army that I've seen, you've obviously painted before, but I've not seen other things you've painted. So you've definitely developed your own style quite quickly, and I can't wait to see what you do with the tanks.
I hope I do them all right, actually. Yeah,
and the secret project I gave you an idea for.
Secret nudge, wink, wink. It may or may not contain swamp rollers.
Thing you've got with the tanks. One of the things you've got with the tanks is. What you've done really effectively, a lot of people have tried and not done well, is mixing that new 40k Death Guard stuff in to make it still feel heresy appropriate with... Yeah, so not saying you've cheated or anything, but you had a very good range of plastic models to work off.
Oh, massively so.
Which really helped build your beautiful army, which is fantastic. So I've said, I've seen lots of people who've gone, I'm going to use the 40k models, and people are like, well... That's 40k. You've taken the 40k, blended it, and made a beautiful late Heresy Death Guard.
Yeah. You just toned down the cartoony 40k
belly mouth.
And they're beautiful sculpts.
Oh, they're really
they're stunning.
And they fit in the modern 40k aesthetic,
but just not quite what we're aiming for. But achieving that with your tanks, where you haven't maybe got, because especially the 40k tanks, they look brilliant, but they're very 40k.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing how you take your vehicles and continue that theme of late heresy, because one of the things I see with a lot of Death Guards is they've got a beautiful paint job and they just go absolutely insane with the weathering and detract from the hard work they've done with the model by covering it all with weathering and spoiling that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to do. So, I mean, it's simple things.
Pressure's on. Christ,
but it's simple things like your Cortis that you've done with the Mortis with the two. You've got those extra cables on from the arm down to the gun.
Yeah.
And it's not a hard thing. It's not, it wasn't a huge, but it was just those little touches that just make it feel unique and feel like your army. And I'm really looking forward to see what you do with the tanks to give it that same feel.
Thank you very much. No, it's, I'm really looking forward to sorting out, and the standard with the events that you guys do is always incredibly high. I was talking to Stu about this earlier. The level of dedication that people have for their armies. Obviously, people as passionate as anyone in this moth conservatory, including the moths. They're really closing in now. Fuck, it's like Mothra, version 17 or whatever. But
give it about 4 months. With the lights, it's going to be a nightmare.
We're going to be full of the fuckers.
Oh God. But no, just like, and again, it's very nourishing when you see people at events. And again, I'm very virginal to events. When you get people who are, as passionate, if not more, in certain aspects to their armies, and and it's just amazing to see this stuff. And obviously, you want to do their stuff justice by working on yours, to the best of your ability as well. I mean, again, gaming is almost, I suppose, secondary or tertiary. It's always been sculpting has been the most important thing, and then I'm actually really enjoying painting now. And I remember being immensely nervous about it last year because it had been such a long time. And I was sort of putting these scenarios in my head, like, I put all this effort into making the models.
You want to justify the work you put into the sculpting.
Yeah, and I was sort of, really, really doing, what was it, giving yourself a tizzy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember, a little bit of gentle ribbing from the community, be like, just, pick up the fucking brush, Jack.
And go for it.
Go for it. Yeah. Right. What's the worst that's going to happen? And you're always going to get into a situation, and I know that you've mentioned this before, Tom, on the podcast, that the first Ultramarines that you did, if you compare that to what you're bringing out now, there's like very noticeable differences from where you've improved so much.
Well, that was one of the points with the Mechanicum army, was to produce an army at a consistent level, because there is the Ultramarine stuff I did at the start is good. There's a year and a half's worth of development and this is the thing. So you look at the sculpting you did when you started off, you're beginning again, to what you're sculpting now. There's a huge difference, But to get to that point where you're happy now, you've got to do that practice. I remember having a conversation with you, and I think I was one of them saying, "Fucking pick up a paintbrush and get on with it." And I think coming to the doubles at the start of the year, it was the pressure to say, like you said, I need to get painted for this point. Right, I've just got to stop fannying about and do it. Yeah. And that's what I love events for, because it puts a deadline on me to say, get your fucking shit done for now. And get it done. And, we don't expect at Tarsus everyone to have painted to the highest Golden Deem level. What we want is that everybody has put a relative amount of effort in.
Of course,
My painting level might not be as good as X who's won the award, but in comparison, I've tried my best as he's tried his best. Our results might be different, but we've all put the same amount of commitment. And one of the things we've seen is over the nearly 2 years we've been running events, the painting standard is coming up. That's coming up because more people are getting on courses, more people are being exposed to techniques like airbrushing and oil washing. That's absolutely pushing them to do more and more on. So it would, there's no reason that couldn't help with sculpting, because I've now ordered a load of stuff. And I'm thinking, do you know what? That is the next step for me. If I want to take my armies on to the next level, my painting is at a good level, I need to start thinking, right, I need to make the models unique. I'm looking at doing, I've got two new projects potentially competing. I don't need to just go, both of them have lots of Marines in them. I don't need to just go and buy a Calth and put them together, because I've got an army of that. So there's no point repeating that. I might as well go out and push the modelling aspect now, like I've done with, the Ultramarines was about learning new techniques. The Mechanicum was about a bit of conversion, a bit of kit bashing, because it pushed me there, and producing an army at a consistent level. So the next step's got to be, right, I can produce an army at a consistently high level. The next step, right, I'm weak on modelling. Let's push on the modelling. And it hopefully will be the next step in the community, because painting standards in the community in general are pretty damn good. So hopefully now, with guys like yourself and I think it's Crusade and Heresy running the conversion challenge, aren't they?
That's really
it's pushing people on to say, right, we're all quite good at painting now, and we've all accepted you paint your shit. Now let's start pushing on modelling and conversion. Let's make unique armies.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, again, I've had such a fantastic time down in Gloucester today, where at least 50% of the people have 3 eyes or like an extra ear, or,
and you've only been in something.
I drove you out the city centre pretty quick.
It's like Jack, close your window, lock the doors.
Don't look anybody in that third eye.
I drove in past at the train station, past the bus station, which they're doing up now. I said it looks less like a kind of
fucking
rape central. It was bad.
Zone.
Gloucester bus stations.
See, the thing is, what you do if you want to pick something, go and pick them up from Cheltenham, because at least it looks semi-decent, man.
I did offer him that chance, but it was one more station, wasn't it? I guess it cost you more.
I don't know. Just
it's about the same driving from here for me to pick you up.
Yeah, you're about.
You didn't fucking tell me that. Jesus.
I think I did actually.
It's like I stepped out to Necromunda. It's like just so fucking what's going on here.
Gloucester makes the Underhive look pretty.
Gloucester Town Centre.
Yeah, Gloucester Town Centre.
Jesus Christ.
We're going to take you down the Keys, and that's even worse than that.
But no, just to say, I've had a fantastic time. I've had really good conversations today, and one of them was just like, and I know that I very quickly spoke about it earlier about what inspires me. I would say number one, Instagram or Facebook. I'd say definitely more Instagram.
The thing with Facebook is you get everything. Instagram, you can, like you said, search and follow. But you can curate what you want in your feed.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's loads of girls with their baps out as well.
It's like their hobby's terrible, but they got their baps out, so they've got like 12 million followers.
Don't go and look at what I follow on Instagram.
I might actually have looked at something you were following the other day. I was like, morbid curiosity. It's like, Tom, naughty boy.
There's somebody I point to Stu who likes Asian toes. So.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Just bear in mind. When you like something on Instagram, it suggests it to your other followers.
Algorithm heaven.
But yeah, so no, Instagram is a great technique place and it's none of the bullshit as well. Facebook's okay, but you get the text.
Yep.
For a visual thing, painting and modelling and conversion, it's just a stream of images.
I think you get more sycophancy on Facebook. Which again, like if you just want to just cut to the chase and get to the idea, I think people on Instagram are far more willing to help and more communicative.
Yeah.
But in addition, you've got like very specific things that you can go for, like modelers with giant baps. Wait, what? So swamp rollers. I mean, sorry. So what? But so another thing as well is that you can like posts and your profile will archive those. But you can also like archive posts. I don't know,
you can save posts.
Yeah. You can save posts. So I will always save like a particular technique, like a painting or modelling technique. I'll say that is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
This is something I want to try at some point. So I'm gonna put this in a separate file. So it's not just me liking countless pictures of women's baps, but it's also the archive stuff will be like the really juicy stuff, like sculpting and rust. Or all this, or like different techniques for different bits and bobs. So, but
I'm a very visual person. I learn by watching and looking and seeing. I don't read blog posts. I don't like reading things. I don't learn that way. So I'm much better off watching.
Can't read.
I can't fucking read. But I'll learn more. This is one of the things why I'm a massive proponent of going on painting courses. I learned so much more sat there with you, with somebody doing it and showing me it and visually.
Yeah.
So Instagram appeals to a lot more because if somebody posts, "How do I do this?" and somebody replies with a wall of text, I won't read it.
Completely agree. And like just to very quickly interrupt, but I do that quite frequently. Where I'm like, okay, I need to paint a soot effect, and you'll get 10 different responses with different techniques on Facebook. You're like, well, this isn't really helpful because often they won't give picture examples.
Yeah.
Or
whereas if the person who actually shows you a picture, a step-by-step picture, you'll probably go, "Oh, I can see how that works
exactly,
now." And I think it's something with maybe because we're all. I mean, this is going back to my artistry. We're all dealing with visual arts, whether it's sculpting or painting or modelling. It's a visual art. You can take this way. As you mentioned earlier, Jack, about classic sculpting with marble is the same idea as sculpting with green stuff. It's a different technique and a different material, but it's still all the same principles about creating a 3D shape out of something else. You can. So one of the things when I did non-metallic metals with Andy, we're talking about where light falls on specific topics, and I got it almost instantly. I've done photography for years. I understand how light works on a surface. I've done lots of that, so I get that as a visual person. But it's all visual arts that we're doing. I mean, like Andy said to us on non-metallics, we're not doing anything other than just painting metals the way any other artist would. If you paint an oil painting and you want to paint gold, you paint a non-metallic metal because they don't have a metallic oil paint. So this is not an advanced technique that's special to miniature painting. It's just a technique. If you talk to a fine artist, it's just how they paint a gold.
And you see that with the best display miniatures at the moment, the busts, the larger scale miniatures and things particularly, that if you look closely, those things are painted as artists will paint on a canvas.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And these are the techniques we are learning.
Strokes, you can see the lighting, and it's not just metals, so to speak.
Flesh and cloth and
it's everywhere. And it's all about lighting. And
I'm painting some leather on a bust at the moment, and I've done the leather colour, and it's now going back and adding the texture to make it look like real leather.
Cracked, the sort of where the leather breaks when it's
and you've got a straight, you put your highlight in around there. where the light source, and then you're putting in bright streaks because where the crack is, that's where it's light, and it's going in and adding texture and stuff into it.
Are you based on your actions?
It's some sort
of
girdle,
WWF belt.
It's that Scale 75 bust I've got that when I put up the first work in progress, Tim Mr. me went,
does this belt look pretty large?
Painting double D's.
Hulkster. We've got all the best busts. Hashtag.
Cool. Excellent. I think after a lot of cans of IPA and a lot of waffling shit, I think we'll draw this one to a close. So give us a shout out in your social media then once again, Jack. Where can people find you? Where's the best place to see your work?
So people can find me at the Gloucester bus station. wait, fuck.
with a swamp roller in it.
with a swamp roller. So if you look at Anvils of Konor or Anvils of Konor on Facebook, and again the same on Instagram, feel free to drop me a line just to say hi, or if you have any questions about techniques or even want to sort of have a commission or anything along those lines, just get in touch. Even if you have any decent ideas for tutorials that you think you can't find anywhere else, and I would be a good person to go to for that. All these sorts of ideas are always very welcome. So check me out on there.
Excellent. Right, we'll roll into a break and we'll be back with something.
Lord Marshal Great, sir. Legion reinforcements now visible on the left flank.
About time. The wolves, I see.
No, sir. Ultramarines, sir.
But they're wearing grey, Proclamator Fennec.
Fox message said new recruits, sir. No time to paint armour.
At least the Raven Guard are in black armour.
Sorry, sir. That's more Ultramarines.
For Emperor's sake, fox them and find out why.
Also new armour, sir. Their eye lenses are red, and the bolt guns are silver. 3 colours minimum, sir.
What the? Get on the Vox now and tell them to contact Miniature Realm Studio.
Miniature Realm Studio, sir?
Yes, Fennec. Miniature Realm Studio offers a commission painting service, competitive rates, and a range of painting standards to suit most budgets and requirements.
Yes, sir. I suppose they do say that fully painted is for closers.
What does that even mean, Fennec?
I don't know, sir.
Miniature Realm Studio can be found on Facebook, on Twitter at Miniature Realms, on Instagram at Miniature Realm Studio, or just drop Stuart an email at miniaturerealmstudio@gmail.com.
Welcome back. Just me here. Tom's been allowed to go home. It's actually about 5 or 6 days after. We had a few issues while recording the show today, so it meant we ran very, very late. So I'm here doing the boring close down duties, sober, not too sore after the amount of red wine I drank the other night while we did record. So nothing much to shout out today, really. I was supposed to be shouting out a Scythorn's event in Norwich. It still had some places available. I've just opened the notes. Tom hasn't added the details as he promised he would when he asked me to shout it out. So apologies to Scythorn. This will be the Conflict Norwich stuff. So if you search Conflict Norwich on Facebook anyway, you'll find all the details. I believe they have places available in the August event, but I'm not quite sure what Tom was asked to do because he hasn't passed on the details. Other than that, thanks for listening. Please get in touch with any messages for the next show. Anything we haven't covered message wise in this show, we've added it to the notes for next time. We will be concluding our Alternative Armies reviews next month or next episode, and that will be the Legion section. It's all ready to go, but we lost some other recording when we tried it, so that will be in the next episode. Other than that, take care. And you'll hear us soon. Cheers, guys.
Come on, trolls!
Hey, I say!
I don't know the words to this song. Oi, I'm hungry.
a gobbo snack.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go.
Oi, what do you call a fly in a troll's head?
I don't know. What do you call a fly in a troll's head?
A space invader.
Oh, do you want to pick my nose? I got a good one.
Oh, there was a hungry troll. He had 10,000 teeth. He kept them in a great big bag to help him with his sums. And when they were in, they were in. And when they were out, they were out. And when they were almost halfway in, you could see his bright green gums. Oh, there was a smelly troll. He had a pair of boots. He kept them underneath his bum and used them as a seat. And when they were on, they were on. And when they were off, they were off. And when they were only halfway on, you could smell his dirty feet.
Hey, why do they call you Bubbles? 'Cause I never have a hanky.
Oh, there was a greedy troll. He had some bright blue shorts. He tied them up with a bit of string, what he did as trollish does. And while they were up, they were up. And while they were down, they were down. And when they were neither up nor down, you could see his underpants. Oh, there was an ugly troll. He had a fearsome grin. He wore a bag upon his head. He looked quite out of place. And when it was on, it was on. And when it was off, it was off. And when it was only halfway on, you could see his horrible face.
Did you hear the one about the troll who tried to blow up a car?
No.
Well, he burnt his lips on the exhaust pipe. It wasn't that funny. When do we get paid, Bab?
You don't get paid, you get gift.
10 green gobbers sitting in the mud. 10 green gobbers sitting in the mud. And if one green gobber should vanish with a, there'd be 9 green gobbers sitting in the mud. 9 green gobbers in the rubbish pile. 9 green gobbers in the rubbish pile. And if one green gobber should turn and run a mile, there'd be 8 green gobbers in the rubbish pile. 7 green gobbers eating mouldy cake. 7 green gobbers eating mouldy cake. And if one green gobber should get a tummy ache, there'd be 6 green gobbers eating mouldy cake. 6 green gobbers in a troll's cave. 6 green gobbers in a troll's cave. And if one green gobber is not so very brave, there'll be 5 green gobbers in a troll's cave. 5 green gobbers looking for things to eat. 5 green gobbers looking for things to eat. And if one green gobber should suddenly fall asleep, there'll be 4 green gobbers looking for things to eat. 4 green gobbers eating coal and ants. 4 green gobbers eating coal and ants. And if one green gobber gets ants in his pants, there'll be 3 green gobbers eating coal and ants. 3 green gobbers playing with soggy leaves. 3 green gobbers playing with soggy leaves. And if one green gobber should get the mighty sneeze, there'll be 2 green gobbers playing with soggy leaves. 2 green gobbers learning how to burp. 2 green gobbers learning how to burp. And if one green gobber should eat the other one up, there'll be 1 green gobber giving a mighty burp.
I say, do you know why trolls have red eyes?
No, why do trolls have red eyes?
So they can hide in cherry trees. I tell you what, have you ever seen a troll hiding in a cherry tree?
No.
Just shows you how good their disguise is, doesn't it?